Okie dokie. We are about at time. Everyone's here. Really appreciate that. Just to get the little pre-game things out of the way. Usually I'm streaming. I will be again today. I don't think we've gotten a document for March and ahead yet for service awards, but it'll come, and what we do today will definitely count for that, and so on. So I'm sure we'll get it in like 2 months from now at the usual rate. But other than that, safety tools always in effect. Let me see. I always like to give the warnings, although we've never had an issue. Don't really see us having an issue. But if anything does come up, let me know. Looks like our content warning for this one is abandoned buildings, poisoning, petrification, and this last one, death of a kitten. So that one's maybe that one might hit a note, honestly. But so yeah, let me know. But I think everyone here seems pretty chill. I think we do have one new person to the server playing today, so welcome. I'm glad to have you here. Everybody else,
Thank you for having me.
yeah. Everybody else I'm pretty familiar with, so I trust you guys with everything. That being said, we're going to be playing WBW-DC-ROG-03. It's called Hope in a Medusa's Eye. If you need that code for your logs later, it will be posted, and you can find it on Warhorn and such. This is a Tier 2 adventure. It is APL at 10. Granted, we're at 4 players, and our APL is a little under, so we will be at weak or very weak as far as that goes. I'll be completely honest, this isn't a very big combat adventure anyways, so, I mean, if you find yourself in a fight, just go balls to the wall. Let's have some fun with it. That being said, too, one last little warning, I guess. We have 2 returning for this trilogy and 2 new, so we're kind of hitting both sides of that. And I'll just be honest, there's just the way that this one was written. There's certain things that we'll kind of skip over a little faster than, like, just for example, there's a pavilion that was explored in the first module that you can explore it again in the second module and again in the third module. And so if you've never played it, that would be kind of key to do so. But for those of us that have already been doing it, there's not really a huge point. So we'll go through the things like that, and I'll definitely share the information that is needed to be known. But just a little preface, because I know it's kind of wonky. But yeah, we're coming into the third of 3. So one last thing for me real quick before we get truly started is there's some handouts from the previous adventures that are still pertinent to this one. So if you want to go to the journal under handouts, take a moment to check that out. There's some woodcut pieces, which we'll have a bit more of an explanation in a moment. There's a few journal entries that have been found that do shed some light on the background of this adventure as well. And of course, we'll have some more handouts as we go, so I'll pop those up to you. I guess before we get started, anyone having any objections? Forever hold your peace. Any quick bathroom runs or grab a snack or coffee? Okay. Alright, so just to give a brief run of the first 2, and then of course we'll slot in more information as we go in a more natural sense. But our adventurers have been most likely on the way to Cormyr. That's kind of wherever you found yourself in the world. And this slice of paradise is called the Hulak Forest. You guys are just traveling along until you came across this camp. They were a group of entertainers, and they seemed to be having a bit of issues. Initially, they were burying a youth, a young boy named Ephraim. They were sadly putting him to his final rest as he succumbed to a head injury from a troll. At least that's what they thought. Basically, there's a cat there who had dropped a little puzzle piece of sorts and a ticket through some... Honestly, that first adventure, we had someone who speak with animals and get a lot of information out of the cat. And they took that, used the puzzle piece, went into this wagon here, which we'll talk about a little more in a moment, and went to a Feywild domain where it was kind of an amusement park of sorts. And they kind of broken up into sections. We tackled the first section, which was a maze of imagination, which is just about as horrendous as you could expect. But not only did the crew make it out alive, but they also saved a little kitten by the name of Foresight. Still kind of piecing together all the clues of what's going on. They return to Nightcast Camp here to get a brief respite. Unfortunately, only a few hours later, another problem was presented as a boulder all of a sudden smashed into the camp, and painted on the side of it was demanding the return of someone named Mural. Of course, through the course of the adventure, we found that Mural was a storm giant in service to the archfey of this domain. Her name is Rogerna, and her hired on kind of engineer of sorts by the name of Mural. He had suffered an accident by the hand of some nasty boggles called Oilers, and it's starting to reveal a little bit more of a background plot here. Rogerna used to be a person of esteem in the Feywild world until she met someone else who showed a different view of life, and she changed a lot about herself and created her own domain. And of course, some people can just never let things go. So it's kind of starting to think that the Oilers were working with the Sealy court, trying to prevent Rogerna from truly escaping or forging a new life for herself. So, with all that, we find ourselves back here at the Nightcast Camp, and Milo and Elaith, you were rousing yourself from another few hour slumber that allowed you a short rest or a long rest and all that. You can tell now that after the course of a couple adventures and such, this long, epically long night you've been going through is finally winding to a close. Definitely you can start to see the little glow of dawn approaching. As you see Lyria here, this woman, she comes up and greets you. She kind of has olive toned skin with dark curly hair. They're all entertainers here, but you can get a little more sense that she's the leader. Has painstakingly brought this crew together and kept them on the road. She approaches the group, and with her, let me separate you guys up a bit here. She has a couple new travelers, and she says, again, it's been a heck of a night. We've about got the wagons ready. Looks like dawn is finally starting to approach. It's good to see you again there, Milo, Elaith. Hope you got a good rest after dealing with those storm giants. Well, it appears we've had a couple more souls wander up in the dead of night. They do seem to be a lot like yourselves, and here at the Nightcast Camp, we're always welcome to have a couple more bodyguards, especially with the night we've been having. Am I right? Well, without further ado, though, I think you should probably get to know each other a little bit if we're going to be spending some time together. We're off to Cormyr in but a few hours, and so if you're still willing to take the last leg of the journey with us, we'd love to have you. So, don't be shy there. Why don't you tell us about yourself? Let's start with the newcomers. That'd be nice. You there? I believe you said your name was Trey, was it? Would you like to tell us a little more about yourself? So proper introduction, mechanics, whatever you feel like sharing. The kind of adventure hooks is either that kind of just you're traveling to Cormyr, happen to come across this camp, or could be you have an affinity for cats, or you have an affinity for entertainment, and you have found a slip of parchment on your person mysteriously that has a paw print and beckons you to come to this area. So I'll let you kind of explain that and who you are. You have the floor, Trey.
Okay. Good day, everybody. Hi. My name's Trey. I'm here because I wandered here. I found this piece of paper. It had a paw print on it, and it compelled me to wander in this direction. And wandering's what I do. But I get to the place where I'm supposed to be. I enjoy cooking, and I'm pretty good with my bow. And I also like looking at butterflies. And you look at Trey, and you see he's about 5'2", he's an Eladrin elf. He's in his autumn form right now. Fey Wanderer Ranger level 10, and one of his Fey Wanderer features is that he just has these little like ephemeral butterflies that flit around him and kind of reflect the mood that he's in. So he's been he started out at the Spelljammer Academy, graduated from Spelljammer. He's a cook on a ship, but he's on an extended shore leave. And the most recent thing that he's been doing is he's been fighting some red wizards. And but his wanderlust has gotten the better of him. He found this note with the cat print on it. It intrigued him because he loves animals. Being a ranger, I love animals too. The note kind of guided him here, and he's not sure why, but he'll find out. And so that's Trey.
The Fae beckons you. You've been away too long. And with your intro, Lyrius, oh goodness, finally. Sounds like we're going to have a good breakfast in the morning, eh? Don't tell Bartholomew over there, but yeah, we've been in need of a change of that. You see an old wizened cook over by the fire kind of like squint up like, huh? Before he kind of goes back to mixing his pot.
Oh, I've got some nice spices. I'll share them with him. He'll appreciate that. I love to talk about cooking. And that's it. Did I miss anything?
Oh no, that's great. Thank you. And with
all right, thank you.
Let's go to Thornir, also a wanderer in these parts.
Hey everybody, what you see is a hill dwarf dressed in typical hill dwarf fashion, heavy armor, carries a great axe, and that's about it. He's a 8th level champion fighter, and he's here to look for work.
Oh, well, I'm not surprised you're headed to Cormyr for work. There's always something there. Actually, that's kind of why we're headed there as well. We're just a group of acrobatics and entertainers. Just coming through this way, set up our camp recently, and... I've been rude. Before Milo and Elaith, they're behind you, Thornir. He's going to get me if I don't. That's Periwinkle. Come on, little guy. And you see a little grayish blue cat there. Kind of starts preening himself, licking his paw a little bit. A little side glance towards y'all of little interest, perhaps. Maybe a little twinkle in his eye, though, of course, as he goes back to kind of grooming himself. She says, he's only 2. We found him around these parts. He's been traveling with us for a day or 2 now, and seems to be quite the resourceful little fellow. But excuse myself. Milo, please come forward. We've got some new friends.
Well, hello. My name is Milo Green Tea. He looks pretty much like his token, just dressed in normal clothes. He does have a nice, he considers it nice. To you, it might look like an old Coke bottle that's been in the weather a lot, and it's all dusty and stuff like that, but it has a nice flame design on it. So he'll now and again he'll be talking to it when he thinks nobody's looking. So he's just been adventuring and came upon this camp, and wow, some adventures we've had in the last. Elaith, he looks at Elaith, he goes, yeah, we've had some couple hairy adventures here recently involving that wagon over there. Oof. But we made it through. Mechanically, he is Divine Soul 8 and Genie Warlock 2. So, Tally, I now have double sight so I can see in magical darkness as well.
Nice. All right. And last but certainly not least, we come with a twofold on this one. Elaith and Tijuana, if you don't mind.
Elaith is a tall, lithe, high elf, city watch, and he's like, yeah, I was had quite a career going on at Baldur's Gate, and then I met this cute guy, and he points to Tijuana, and we've kind of been roaming ever since. It's amazing how big he's grown, but we've been together, and then we came across, we're always looking for new entertainment. We came across the flyer, and we came across this camp, and we've been here seemingly for weeks. But be on the lookout for tickets. They appear in the weirdest places and are very important. And that is Lath. Mechanically, he's a level 8 Drake Warden Weight Ranger, and Tijuana is his brass Drake.
All right. You guys kind of start to mingle amongst yourselves and also the Nightcast entertainers. They're maybe not plentiful, but they'd be strewn about you guys going about their duties. A lot of them perhaps asleep at this hour, but some still, waking up, starting to get the morning ready, get the wagons hitched up and stuff, as everyone's more than eager to end this night that seems to go on forever and make it to Cormier. Finally, Lyria kind of gathers you up as you notice towards the borders of the trees around you, these tall cliffs reach up. You're almost in a bit of a valley of sorts, and you can kind of see up around the darkness of the night as it starts to kind of dissipate. You see that the kind of strange twilight glow that's replacing the darkness is a little different from a typical morning. Lyria kind of follows your gaze to the trees and kind of clicks her tongue. Wonder what's up with that. She kind of stokes the fire a bit. She says, that is a pretty odd glow to the air, don't you think? As you guys ruminate this, all of a sudden Periwinkle strides forward into the light there and gives a loud yowling screech and begins to run off towards the cliffs, passing right through you guys there, Lath, Tijuana, and Milo. Boom, off into the trees. Lyria comes and says, "Oh, something's gotten into Periwinkle. That's very out of character. Y'all wouldn't mind following and seeing what the fuss is about, would you?"
Which way did it go?
Oh, just beyond the tent there, I believe. Oh, look, he's disappearing into the underbrush now. You can see him off to the west, kind of just going into the trees.
Thornir will go.
So the twigs and
Trey will follow.
the twigs and leaves start to crunch under your boots as you chase after, and you notice that he actually is no man left behind. He's kind of keeping a slow pace, too, to allow you to catch up and track him as he kind of makes his way up towards the cliffs. And as you kind of start to get a little heavier breathing, you make your way up and ascending to the cliff top, and you could see out beyond where the trees should continue as the forest would thicken. Instead, you look and you see nothing but a sea of clouds and twilight skies. And below the cliffs, on the other side, you see nothing but empty space. You can make a nature or investigation check, whichever would be your preference.
That's not normal.
Both equally bad.
So, Thornir and Trey and Milo, as you guys gaze out beyond the clouds and even further into what seems to be empty space, you can really just get the sense that that is pure empty space. Like, it's almost befuddles your mind as you stare into it. It's like as if you're staring into nothing at that point. The others, or not the others, but just the Lath, with the kind of a more keen eye, you could see that at the very edge of that space, the cliffside is crumbling slowly but surely into that empty space. You can also tell that it seems as if it's coming towards you, not so quickly, but to the point where you'd only have probably about 4 or 5 hours before this crumbling, eroding of the landscape would reach the Nightcast camp.
That does not sound good. What do we do? Move camp?
Periwinkle agrees that it is not looking too good, and with a meow, he gets your attention to look down, and he kind of stands, arches his back proudly and tall, and you notice that he has a little kind of parcel in his mouth, perhaps a little piece of something wrapped up in a paper, and he kind of confidently drops it at your feet there to Milo and nudges it forward with his nose, hoping for you to snatch it up.
Milo?
I will grab it.
You pick it up, and it feels all too familiar in your hands as you recognize another woodcut piece and also another ticket that I will pop up to you guys. There's the ticket.
See? I tell Trey and Thorn here, see? This is what happens. Ticket.
And there's another little woodcut piece. And so the others have already figured the puzzle out in a sense, not too complicated. But in the wagon, this wagon was supposed to be of seemingly ancient origin, but by the make of the wood and perhaps some hidden magical properties there, it has survived the test of time. Lyria had indicated that they found it in the brush, and it seemed to be quite wrecked, although, like I said, almost still in fantastic condition. So they've spent some time clearing it out. You could definitely would have noticed a bunch of the trash from it piled up and stuff, just old things. Cleaned up the inside, and there happened to be like a woodcut piece, kind of like art, but it seemed kind of like a map at the same time, kind of plastered to the wall, but it was missing chunks in it. So that's that mysterious woodcut for those two that are new. And of course, at the start, they were only given the mysterious wood piece 1 and 2, slotted those in, visited a couple places there. We got piece 3 in the last one, and now you guys have piece 4 and another pavilion ticket. Yep, so he...
Tickets for? I'm looking at the handouts. I see the mysterious woodcut pieces like a puzzle. What are the tickets for?
If you want to ask, like, that'd be a good opportunity for in character. You could ask one of the, like, Milo or Lath.
Yeah, Milo, what are these tickets for?
Well, I'm trying to remember because we'll go to a strange, I want to say, what's the word I'm looking for? Plane of existence or something like that. And then there'll be a ticket booth, and we have to hand them the ticket, and then we get to investigate what's going on after that.
And does it always come with a free drink?
I don't know about free drink, but we always get these. We've had different. This is a green ticket. They've been different colors, and then we get these wood pieces as well. Strange. They're very strange.
What about these mysterious journal entries? Have we gotten that far yet?
Of course, they know about that and have collected them. As far as any explanation, honestly, I think the first one does explain a lot, but I think a lot of that will be revealed in this adventure. So that's kind of been one of those things that's like, here's some clues here, but that we're waiting to fully understand.
Okay, and how come Milo has all this insight? Because he played the previous adventure?
Right.
What was the previous adventure?
There's ROG1 and ROG2, the same WB DCs. The first one's called, what was it? The second, was it Maze of Imagination?
Lost.
Yeah. Oh, Imagination Lost, right. And then the second one, yeah.
Got it.
A Giant Presence was the second one, but yeah. Some of that's just more of that background info that I was talking about too, to where it's like on the second one you could see Mechanic was kind of like a servant. That was a pretty sad part of the story on the second one we had fun with, but as you can see at the bottom of that note, that he was suspecting the Oilers like have been listening to the whispers of the gloaming court. And then on the first one, it's kind of talking about like how this is Rogarna talking about like her birthday, and then she's asking Eloise to open a stream so she can go to the court to be plead to be left in peace. So there's a little bit, some of that will make a little more sense as we go today.
Okay.
But yeah, Periwinkle kind of, a little bit of hair on end. He kind of gives you a quizzical look and starts to make his way back to the camp. As you guys kind of gaze out at this open sea of nothing that kind of starts to begin in clouds.
Can you repeat that?
Periwinkle, he's making his way back as you guys are kind of left there up at the cliffs. Guess you guys want
to... Yeah, Thorner goes back to the camp.
It seems we're on a time crunch, so let's put this woodcut in and punch our tickets and find out how we can stop this.
So as you guys hit the camp again, in the vicinity of Lyria, she like rapidly approaches you guys, and you can see the same kind of intent mirrored on her face that you guys are feeling now. Like she looks a little bit desperate and like she has some information to share. She's like, me first or you first?
You go.
Okay, because she kind of points to the road leading away from the camp and says, I think we may have hit the end of our travels. And as you follow her finger, you can see beyond the light of the campfire, the road abruptly drops off into a twilight sky with clouds, very similar to what you just saw up there. Above the sounds of the fire, you can start to hear rocks rumbling as they fall into empty space around you, just in the distance as the entire area appears to be slowly collapsing. She says, your turn.
Well, should we tell her about the ticket? Is the ticket our way out of this?
Well, I'm starting to believe that the fate of us all is now in your hands, and you're right, probably that wagon we found. This has got to all be connected, and you've been through this with us long enough, and the newcomers, I'm more than grateful to have your assistance, if you will. But I think our lives are in your hands now. She seems to be trying to keep this confident mask on, but it's almost like a little shaky as she truly believes what she's saying. If you'll help us one last time, I think this could be of use to you. We've been saving these in case we really ran into anything nasty, but here. And she hands over a pretty fancy little quiver there, and it has 6 + 1 arrows in it.
Ooh.
Nice.
We'll like those.
And so you know the story of how it goes. I'm pretty sure this works just the same as consumable. So if you shoot an arrow, you lose it for everybody at the end. But if y'all don't use them at all, you all get all 6. So I'll keep track of that. I got it on. We'll have a session log after with the rewards and such. But yeah, she kind of passes those over and then says, hopefully you don't have to use them, but we best be prepared. Let me know if there's anything you need from us, but it looks like that's getting closer. Now Periwinkle starts to kind of weave in between her legs as they stand there, and she says, the wagon's over there, and we've almost got it ready to set up right, but do what you must there. No one will bother you.
What do you mean set up right? The one that's turned over?
That's the one she points to that seemed to have been Rogarna's wagon.
You need us to set it up right?
If you feel the need to, seems less. I think they may need to get one more wheel on, but
okay. Let's help them put a wheel on.
she's like, well, I mean, I do appreciate the help there, but I think time is of the essence, as was said earlier. You guys got in there just fine before, but don't worry about helping us with that. Or I think we would just be grateful to live, and then we can fix the wagon. That's fine.
Well, should we go in the wagon? Trey kind of looks over at the two who have been here before. Says, "Well,
That's usually what way it works. We step in the wagon.
Yep, pour the woodcut in, get in the wagon. Let's go. We got
all
time.
right. Let's. Time is of the essence."
You wonder
Milo
why.
has his-
And is it? So I'm assuming that the new woodcut gets slotted into one of the places. Is it clear which one it gets slotted into, just based on the shape, or did we
It's-
not worry about that?
It is, but it is also for one, the map image is kind of like flipped from what it actually is, and that'll make more sense in a moment because the wagon's turned over, which is like neither here nor there. But in this case, every slot has been filled except for one, so it's pretty clear. Yeah.
Trey has innate intelligence, so he still hasn't quite figured it out, but he will.
He's like, so you want me to put this in there? I'm just not getting it.
Milo will take the wood cart and show him how it's done. Reluctantly, 'cause he's like, "Oh, here we go." He doesn't say it, but he's got that. Oh gosh, here we go again.
And yeah, you kind of wonder why there's a slight grimace there as Milo slots it in, and you notice that as he puts in the piece, the woodcut fountain there appears to start bubbling, as if translucent water is pouring from it. Anyone who's magically inclined kind of just feels a little bit of like conjuration magic radiate from it, as Milo would reach out and touch the water, and you just watch him like kind of almost be pulled forward, boots kind of lifting up off turn the wall of the wagon, I guess, there now, and then he like shrinks and just disappears as he goes to another plane of existence, as he called it earlier. And for you there, Milo, you remember why you're not all too enthused. As you go through this portal of sorts, it just feels like you're being sucked into a whirlpool, and it's crushing the air out of your lungs. You almost feel as if you're like falling deeper and deeper underwater, like pressure increasing, ears almost threatening to pop, and jaw starting to clench a bit, as then you find a release and you're totally out at the other side. And you see you're in this pretty ornate fountain with a little kind of wood posts with signs pointing in different directions and words carved around the base of the fountain. And you're about shin deep in it at the moment, as you have found yourself already a couple previous times, and everybody else can most certainly follow suit.
Trey will follow suit eagerly.
I'm thinking like Stargate kind of deal, where they get.
All right, I'm gonna copy and paste you guys over to Rilgarnis Place, so you're all along for the ride.
Okay, yeah. Oh, it makes sense.
Okay, so you find yourselves there in the entry gate, all shin, ankle, or knee deep in this water, depending on your height. And you kind of feel that air return to your lungs as that crushing force kind of dissipates. You feel like you almost have to suck in that first breath as you look around the round white marble fountain. The cool, clear water kind of laps at your legs and feels more reassuring after that little journey. And you see the water kind of bubbling from holes in the center stone pillar. You could see, as you kind of pull yourselves out of it, there's arrows pointing different directions. You can kind of make sense of what it is on the map, of course. There's the giant presence down to the west, the maze to the south, and so on. And as you step out, you can see chiseled around the rim, it says, "Our rules are hospitality, ownership, and reciprocity. But here, the music is free." And you guys are able to do what you will.
So we get our choices here where we get to go.
The woodcut seems to match the house up here.
You say you want to follow the clue in order of the woodcut pieces.
Well, we've already gone to the maze and the statue.
You've already done the maze and what?
And the statue in the southwest.
Okay, let's go to the house up here in the northwest.
We need to go to the pavilion to get our ticket punched.
Okay.
Okay, where do we do that?
Up here?
Northeast.
That's where we need to go?
Okay, let's go there.
Yeah. Looks like there's music too.
All right. I love that that interaction there. Elaith coming in clutch as a small memory blossoms in Elaith's mind of trudging up down the path. I believe you were headed up towards the House of Relics Pass. This is in the very first adventure, just not knowing really what to do yet, starting to trudge down the path, and after about like 10 or 15 minutes, all of a sudden you come across a little sign that says, it was like a little paw print and says like site under construction, more or less. And then you keep pushing forward, and after like 10 more minutes or so, you like somehow see the fountain. What the heck? And then you like magically are back here at the starting gate. So I just think it's funny to share because it's kind of humorous how they did that. But with the history of being here, he's like the guy who's been to the theme park a few times. He's like, no, we don't do that. We go here. You got to do it like this. Come on. He knows the proper way. Leads you to the pavilion. And as you make your way along that path, you notice that all around you, it kind of just drops off into clouds. But unlike the ones that you just left that seemed like kind of foreboding, a bit ominous, here it's a lot more cheery. And Milo and Elaith, you notice like somehow even more so than the last time you were here. Things do seem a little bit different, and especially just initially on the walk, you all start to feel a bit more cheerful as especially Trey, you'd be more than used to this feeling as the Feywild starts to uplift your spirit, makes the higher highs, the lower lows, the colors more vivid. You just feel that kind of bit of a rush in your chest, start to blossom forth. Maybe
you see the.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, you see the butterflies around Trey suddenly become more animated, colorful, iridescent, as he responds to the higher highs.
And you can maybe starting to bust out in some humming and whistling as like this next 15-20 minute little jaunt. This is like you almost forget what you're even doing here. You're having a good time and stuff before the pavilion starts to loom ahead. It's a wooden 2-story building, quite sizable, and you see that it's a couple stories there, as I said. And right now it is unlit. And of course, in the front, though, is this little rectangular wooden room that a couple of the fellows there would recognize as the ticket booth. Of course, that becomes instantly recognizable to the other two as you see an arch above the window and a carved sign that says tickets kind of on the front of the booth. On the left-hand pillar of the ticket booth is a slightly tattered and ripped sign that has a table with headings of ticket and compensation. That actually is one of our older handouts that I've, it keeps being usable, and so I'll bring that back up to you guys real quick. You can see the ticket, the attractions, what it would cost over on the right, and so on. And other than that, you see that the darkened pavilion is completely silent as you guys approach. The counter of the ticket booth is very well polished and clean, and your eyes notice a small little package on the counter.
What's on the counter?
Like a little small gift wrapped box.
That's probably not for us. Is there a thief in the party?
Well, Trey says, "Oh, that's most definitely for us. Gifts just appear in the Feywild, and when you find them, they're meant for you."
Interesting. Go ahead, open it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Trey will go up and take a look at it. And does it appear unusual or anything?
You could certainly make an investigation check if you prefer.
Well,
You can't really discern anything about it. Seems like just a nice little present sitting there.
anyone else want to take a look before I open it? It's got to be meant for us. All right. Not hearing anybody say anything, I'll open it.
We have found similar packages for us in the past here, so yes, Lath will assure you this has been for us.
Right. Open it up.
Okay, and so essentially, this is what your pavilion ticket has led you to. So I suppose if someone wanted to keep that as a little token, they could, but you could kind of leave it on the counter there and take the box in acceptance for that in a sense, and you can bust it on open as you do. It does come with like a little map of the domain, although there's not much of a point of a handout for that whenever you're on the map of the domain. So now you can see everything. But you also have the more important thing there is a potion of greater healing, your free drink, as was mentioned before. And you also get another ticket. And I'll be honest, this is just from DM perspective. For some reason, it included an old ticket for that one in the handouts. So I was like, what? And so I plan to make
a souvenir
one.
ticket.
Yeah, I'll end up making one day that because I have like all the tickets for this adventure except for this one. So, but anyways, I wish I had a handout to pop up for that one. But I'll have to get on Photoshop one day and make one so it's all complete. But in any case, there is another ticket. It would be kind of that bluish turquoise color as far as that first one was, and this one has like the picture of the little booth in the maze on it, and as you guys have remembered in the past, there is like an extra like addendum. A couple of the folks would remember, and I like the way I would spin it anyways is there'd be like a little note kind of with instructions that essentially says, if you want to, you can give extra compensation to receive a gift, and that is a charm of vitality. It'll be like a little mark on your ticket. And so to get this, though, you have to produce a written account of your adventures. There's like a little stack of like sheafs of paper and like a little ink fountain that you guys could write some stuff up if you want to quickly. But essentially, if anyone is willing and wants to receive this blessing of the Feywild, we'll go. I guess we'll start from left to right. Take it person by person, and if you want to just recount a cool adventure, or it could be something you've actually played, or it could just be like something you've made up for the backstory of your character. But yeah, you want to produce a written account of this adventure, and essentially, if you just want to tell us in game what you're writing, you will receive this charm, which I'll tell you what it does afterwards. So Thornir, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I can. I'll pitch in for gift.
Okay, so you got anything pop to mind that like what do you think Thornir would put that pen to paper in as an acceptable adventure that he has an achievement in his book?
An achievement in this book? Let me look. Go ahead to the next person. I'm looking through my journal.
Okay. How about a Lath? You got something?
Yeah, so Lath will write down when he was the watchman investigating Cult of the Dragon activity and came across a cult stronghouse that they were about to sacrifice Tijuana to the evil dragons. And he stopped that, and he and Tijuana have been friends, going on adventures ever since. Well, that's how he first met Tijuana.
As you like ride it, there starts to be like some your unsteady hand and some teardrops. It's just, you never forget that day. No,
Tijuana's still in the fountain.
Just playing around, slurping up some of the water.
Oh yeah,
it's a beautiful, beautiful tale, and definitely greatly accepted. As
okay, Thornir,
go ahead.
Was recently in Flan and was awarded the story award, Friend of Flan.
And so, how did you gain that? Like in a short synopsis.
Basically, there were ghosts in Flan, and Thornir with a group of adventurers wiped out the ghost and found out where the ghosts were coming from. They were coming from a bard named Rooster.
All right, nice. And so you put the little final dot to the last T in the eyes and all the crosses, or however the phrase goes. But you feel pretty confident as you recount your adventure there, and are willing to accept that. Sounds like a good one too. Might have to play that. As how about Milo?
I was trying to find I had an adventure where I had an encounter with the Ifriti, and that's how he became a genie warlock. He was amazed by the genie, and the genie actually he felt compelled to research and become a genie warlock as well, and that's how he found the bottle and stuff for it.
Nice. So you're starting to pin an origin story similar to
Right.
Elaith in that sense, and both would be very interesting accounts to get a hold of. How someone rescues and befriends a dragon, and then how another person discovers and becomes in league with a genie. I mean, that'd probably be something worthy of Candlekeep's records, as you are willing to put that forward. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Trey.
Okay, so Trey's first 4 adventures were in the Spelljammer Academy, and so he just kind of writes about those and all the good friends that he made, and he keeps coming back to how he learned how to cook and how cooking is so fun, and all the adventures that he had, and how after all of the adventures he was able to cook his friends a meal and they were able to celebrate and things like that. And it's like wandering, like he just, it's stream of consciousness. It doesn't really make sense. But it tells a story of how he came to love cooking, and how he came to love Spelljammer, and how he came to love the people that he was with. And, it's kind of like a buddy bonding story of his adventures, and how it was just like a great experience. So that's what he writes about.
So I guess it's a spoiler alert or whatever, but I'm curious what happened, or what was Trey's impression of what happened with the quartermaster, the GIF. I'm trying to remember his actual name, but yeah, you probably remember.
Oh, it was so long ago.
So it involved fire.
Yeah, that was a sad. The one on the ship, the third adventure, is that the one you're talking about?
Mm-hmm, yeah. So
Yeah,
what happened, or
yeah.
what was that? What was that like for Trey? I'm curious. Because he was a cook.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was like the moment when he stepped up and said, "Okay, I can do this now." Like that was sort of his mentor, and he stepped in to take the place. And like that was when he decided, like, oh, okay, I'm not going to be a space marine. I'm going to be a cook, because people need food, because food is love, and love is what gets us through all of this.
It's beautiful. In memoriam for the quartermaster.
Yeah.
So you guys all stack your sheets up, and perhaps share a bit of what you're doing with each other as you go, and feel a bit more camaraderie amongst yourselves. As even if you didn't share as much, You feel like you've gotten something off your shoulders, or poured a little bit from your heart, and with that Feywild senses, it just, you just feel good, like a nice adrenaline dump in a sense. And you watch as each of your little tickets gets this little small heart on it that has a little light that kind of periodically shines out. Not really enough to like illuminate, but it just kind of reminds you almost as if it's a heartbeat. And so essentially this works for 24 hours only in this domain and such. But it's a charm of vitality, which will allow you to give yourself the benefit of a potion of vitality as an action. Of course, the little heart would disappear when that happens. But what it does is it would remove exhaustion or cure you of any disease or poison. And then also, you would, if you used it, you would regain HP. When you use hit die, you just regain max. So we can bring that up, or I can post it or such if really needed. But you guys have that. Each of you can get a good one-time use of that.
Okay, and it we can't carry it outside this adventure, right? So it's use it during this session.
Yep.
Essentially. Okay.
And in addition to for you guys reaching in there and pulling something out, DM inspiration from me to y'all. And usually I kind of like to be free with that, so you could call it before to get advantage, or if you roll and don't like it and I haven't said anything yet, you could just do a re-roll. So either way. Okay, and so here's where we get to the point of the adventure where it's like there's some points to be made, but also it's not worth spending like a bunch of time on it, because we kind of have already. As you see the pavilion kind of looming behind the ticket, and you can most certainly explore it, and as long as everyone's willing to do so, I'll probably just give like a quick monologue of that.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay, all right. So you guys would start into this this pavilion of sorts. Kind of seems to be like a nice rest area, like convention, meeting area, as well as where someone could almost even live, it seems. As you make your way through, you would quickly, it's kind of hallways with doors in a sense, but just kind of running through it in a way. You could open a door and you'd see a kitchen, and it seems to have been cleaned within the last few days. There's another door that kind of leads to another room through there, and another one that leads into a pantry. And you see the spacious kitchen pretty much contains everything and anything you would need for some good old fancy cooking on a grander scale. Prep tables, stove, pots, a few even kind of odd implements you may not have even really seen before. But as you kind of like give it a quick glance over, you see not much more than just like knives and spoons and just your run-of-the-mill stuff there. You take a little peek into the pantry, if you will, and you notice there's an empty barrel and 3 bags of flour just chilling there. And nothing really much more of value. But you do notice that as you kind of peek in, there doesn't seem to be any sign or droppings or anything of any like rodents or anything like that. It's all very clean, well taken care of, no rodent activity, no bugs, nothing like that. You can go probably to the next room without going back to the hallway. Would lead you to a ballroom, and this is a grand ballroom, really nice, very well polished wooden floor. There's doors kind of leading back out into the pavilion, and also out back into the grounds from there as well. You do see a little latrine. The door is marked with like a woodcut of a pixie holding their hands between their legs in kind of a comical position. But there's that, and then there's also a door that kind of leads to like a stairwell of sorts, and then there's another one leading that you just came through that was to the kitchen. You see these kind of pillars supporting the ceiling, sconces for lanterns, and along the walls are pictures of cats dressed in human clothing and dancing in like various poses and such. So, love it or hate it, it's there. You do notice there are recent signs of paw prints. Kind of as before. I see that you asked that, Elaith, because in the past when you guys came through here, there were signs of that, and it does seem, well, I'm trying to see actually. Yeah. There, you notice that when you know what you're looking for, there does seem to be, while not as easy to track as before, um, you can kind of still see the little signs here and there of like kind of large paw prints, since you're looking for that. And then no, nothing much more in the ballroom except for this like nice grand piano. Seems to be like pretty well cleaned and tuned, probably tuned within like the last week. You sit there and you play it a little bit if you want. There's the latrine, as I said. It even has like a little toilet and a sink with a mirror, which, let's be real. Probably be a pretty awesome thing to have around in this world. So feel free to use that at your leisure, but leave it in the chat, of course. And then the only other thing here, unless you want to go back outside, is the stairs. There's a little rectangular room with the stairwell, kind of go up to the second level. You notice there's another little stairwell there, of course, with a large window looking out at the pavilion. Give you a good sight of the grounds, and you can see that they're all like very well manicured. Seem to be pretty well taken care of. Nothing really too much out of place. The gardener must be hiding out somewhere, it looks like, because this place looks nice. Other than that, though, you can kind of make your way into a hallway. In this area, of course, there's some doors, but the only other thing to really greet your eyes is a picture of an elven-looking fae in a green dress. She has 3 kittens, one in her arms, one on each shoulder. The first kitten is black and wears a gold heart necklace that reads Foresight. The second one is white. The necklace reads Intellect, and the final one is orange and has a copper heart necklace reading Memory. Of course, Milo and Elaith would both recognize the first 2 kittens, the black one, Foresight, and the white one as Intellect, because they had rescued those 2 kittens in the previous 2 adventures. Not sure what's up with Memory, though, because that one has not been located. So one of these rooms off of here goes to a guest room. Not much to say about this really at all, except for it's got crisp, clean sheets, a couple of tables, not much else, but nice, taken care of. The other room here of note is Rogarna's room. There's a massive double bed, newly cleaned sheets, smelling faintly of mint. And above the bed is a painting of the seemingly same elven fae as earlier in a black dress. She is looking quite elegant, and on either side of her are 2 large displacer beasts with toothy smiles, each cat wearing a collar with a heart. One collar says Zerst, and the other reads Marnabara. This is kind of in the area where you'd probably notice the big paw prints the most. And of course, in the southwest corner is a large trunk, and it seems to be closed and locked. And I guess just for fun there, Lath and Milo, if you'll give me a history check.
Okay.
So you two would very much distinctly remember opening that chest in the past, and it was locked and such, but you opened it, and there was that's where you found Rogarna's journal entry. But now this chest seems to be very much the way you originally found it, closed up, locked, and all that. So you can file that in for however you see fit. And there's a door leading to a sizable wardrobe as well, and another one leading off to a bath here. But I'll let you guys kind of discuss anything if you'd want there with that information I gave.
Does anyone have the ability to open this chest? It's locked again, and we found it locked once. Then we unlocked it. Now it's locked.
Trey has thieves' tools proficiencies. You want him to try to open it?
Oh yeah, that'd probably be good. We found some ideas of what was going on last time we opened this chest.
Do we have to worry about it being trapped, or?
Well, neither Elaith nor Reese remembers.
Oh, all right. Trey'll take a look, investigate it for traps, and if he sees that it's okay, he'll out his thieves' tools, and he looks and he says, "This is what I used to do before I was a cook. Comes in handy from time to time, but I really only use it for getting the exotic spices that when I really need them." And he'll try to 13. Will that work?
So you're like, oh, it's time to put these hands back to those wicked ways again. Oh, thought I left this behind me.
One of his guilty pleasures is exercising his thieves' tools proficiencies from time to time.
So you check it out at first for traps, of course, and you give it a good once over. Seems to be like more like a bedroom trunk kind of chest, really just locked with like a pretty sturdy padlock, but you don't notice any like little like kind of contraptions or anything like that. You do take a stab at kind of picking the lock, and everything goes silent as your friends stand around and are watching you and stuff, and like a little bead of sweat kind of starts to drip down, and like the pounding of your heart kind of fills your ears as you kind of give into the stress there and are like unable to truly get it, but you could definitely give it another shot, though, of course.
All right. Been a while, kind of rusty. Let's see if second time's the charm.
So I won't limit you to the amount of times you can try. So
that still wasn't enough, huh?
But you do not feel like that quite is enough. And I'll admit, normally in my games, I'll kind of limit attempts, but I feel like this is one where it's okay. It's kind of special in that sense. So feel free.
Does anybody have guidance, or can anybody give me a hand here? Maybe. May feel like I'm missing something.
Yeah, I don't have thieves' tools proficiency.
All right. Well,
a
little bit better.
When I saw this thing before, they did kind of what you did, but at the end of it, the lock was unlocked. So get that step. That's my help.
He's like, is that guidance?
It's non-magical guidance.
So there for a moment, like as you fail, the first time you would probably feel like that dread of failure in a sense, and you're like, no, I said I can do this. I used to do this. I can do this. And you try again, and this time you feel like you nearly got it, and so you're kind of like mixed feelings on this last one, as I would say. Elaith would kind of finally break the silence there and say what he did, and while it's like just the attempt of help, it breaks the ice, and then you guys could kind of maybe would break out into joke a little more. You feel that stress kind of ease up as like it's okay, and we don't always get things right the first time. You give it that last third time's the charm, as it were, as the DC was 20, and as I would imagine like maybe even like Milo would kind of give a clap, or something, as maybe Thornir would kind of say, oh, like, good job, you guys would break out a little more right as you open the chest up, and your merriment is instantly disrupted as you see this rune just kind of shine out, and it functions as a confusion spell. And with that, I'll need all of you guys to make a where's that at? DC 17 Wisdom save, or you will be confused. Trey is okay. Thornir, not so much.
Confusion is Trey's normal state of mind, so this actually probably brings him clarity.
But if you want to burn your inspiration on this, I know Thornir already said not so much, but I won't count that as like my decree if you did want to. Okay, everyone's happy with those rolls?
Negative wisdom, so I'm not going to worry about it.
Okay, so let me pull up. I should have had this one ready, but confusion. Looks like you all. Looks like, I'm sorry, Milo and Thornir, as you like I said, you guys could flavor it however you will. But you guys kind of would break the ice. You guys kind of like chuckling, kind of banter a little more as the chest busts open. I would say like, it's like a movie or something. Like Trey, you're kind of like opening it up and like looking behind you like, look guys, I do. Oh no, as the rune shines out. And Thornir and Milo, as I said, your mind just totally goes the opposite direction from merriment and joy, as you just start to see these like delusions and like twisting your minds, which I'll let you guys definitely flavor that in the way that would do that for you specifically.
Milo stopped talking to the bottle right in front of everybody. Told you shouldn't have opened the chest. I tried. No, don't argue with me. And he starts having just a conversation with his bottle.
And as you do that, go ahead and roll me a d10 real quick. Milo begins, right after he yells that out to the bottle, he just stops. Seems to be frozen in place with this grimace on his face as he just looks down, gazing into his bottle. And that's how he spends the next 6 seconds. As on the flip side, Thornir, how do you feel you would be affected by this, and if you'll roll that d10 as well?
I start picking my nose because I'm confused. And I roll 2.
Okay, and the same. You like slowly jam your finger up your nose so as your eyes glaze over, and you stand stock still for the next 6 seconds. And then if both of you will make me a wisdom saving throw again. And if either of your friends has anything to interject in this time for like a turn in that sense, they most certainly could. If not, just give me some wisdom saves.
Let me use my inspiration.
I'm going to step back from the confused people because you never know what confused people will do.
I guess I'll use my inspiration here, but I don't know.
I've got 2 of them used. It's the greatest use of inspiration ever. Okay, so it was DC 17 though. So Thornir.
Yeah, I have to roll an 18 or better, so I guess I spend the.
You slowly unjam your finger there, Thornir, as your eyes kind of unglaze over and uncross, and you kind of return back to yourself, but maybe with a shake of your head. On the other hand, though, yeah, Milo, you go ahead and you could roll me another d10, and I guess we kind of went quick, but I don't know if anybody has anything like they could do to help. So
Ray does not.
Okay. So it seems you guys are rolling pretty consistent, at least, where you have no change. You're just still standing there for another 6 seconds. It seems like an eternity to everyone that's kind of like watching you as they're wondering like what's going to happen. You're just standing there staring as you can make another wisdom save. And then a 10. All right, this time you finally have some clarity, although you can still feel the twisting on your mind, and you know you're not free, but for the next 6 seconds you can do whatever you want. So if you don't have anything like in particular, then you could roll another wisdom save.
I'll give Milo my inspiration for his wisdom save.
Okay.
Got it on the first one because that's a 17.
Okay, all good. As in that moment of clarity, you kind of like would like still yourself in the way that kind of put that mental wall up, and then when that twisting starts to assail you again, you're able to kind of finally resist and shirk it off. As not the worst confusion that's ever happened, so not that bad. And you guys are definitely able to take a look into the little trunk there now. Hopefully it'll be well worth the effort there, and I think you'll find that it is, as you see a cloak in there with a note. And so those are 2 things. and I will show them. Oops, I'm gonna show my phone. I'll show you both of those right now. If you'll give me just a moment. First up is a note. And despite the meowing, that isn't the kitten you might be looking for. Right. So here's the note.
I had Favored by the Gods, and I could have used that. I apologize.
Oh, no
Not
worries.
that might have helped, but it might have helped on the 14.
In the end, there wasn't any, it's funny how that could end up in like a full-on like PvP match, it seems, or, we could just have a little goof there like we ended up, so no worries. But yeah, you guys see this as brave souls. You are needed to prevent a tragedy. Come to the temple at the House of Relics. Take this cloak as a gesture of my need for your experience. And of course that cloak, the one, the only, the cloak of billowing.
All right. Trey will immediately put his on.
So as of now, it's just one, and then of course it would copy. But yeah, you could most certainly, as long as no one else is objecting, you could be the one to put it on.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't need it. It just sounds cool. Anybody else wants to put it on?
No, I'm fine.
You will then make it billow dramatically.
Nice, and it does. And just like with a flick of your hand, it just flurls around you. It looks very badass. So of course that is one of the magic items. That one's just a common one, so whenever you get it, it could pretty much work unless you have anything, fill in those slots. But yeah, so you could always just be that guy with the cool cape. Sha sha sha. But that's a good sign of goodwill there. And then just to wrap up this section here, there is the wardrobe, which we've had some history with in the past, so it's most certainly worth investigating. I always like to point out that this is probably the nicest closet that anyone's ever had. I'm sure there's some mansions and stuff in the real world too of this size, but yeah, it's one of those kind of closets where every handbag, every pair of shoes could fit. But in any case, it has some nice windows facing the grounds. Even's got a view. Jeez. But there's kind of just empty metal hangers lining a large kind of cabinets and such here. You can see that it's kind of been cleared out a little recently. Not a lot of value in here either, of course. But the most important thing is on the southern wall, there's a mirror. Definitely seems like that kind of mirror, if you know what I mean. And there's already been a couple like visions shared to the members in the past. But as you guys would approach it, you see this very ornate mirror, framed by silver lizards whose mouths seem to like radiate lightning. You guys can kind of stand there, and it's almost like the mirror of Erised until it mists over, and you start to see a different view as you look out, and you see a strange piece of land floating in a twilight sky. As the land faces towards another island floating in the sky as well. And on this one, there are lights of what appear to be the Nightcast camp, of which you just recently left. The cliffs around this little piece appear to be crumbling into the sky, as you guys have witnessed. As you kind of watch that, seeing this view from almost seemingly someone else's eyes, it kind of mists over again, but you get the sense that it's not done as it starts to show another image, and you see two little kittens wrestling in the dirt. And Milo and Elaith, you definitely recognize those little kitties as Foresight and Intellect from the previous two adventures. And they're kind of just like scrabbling around there in the dirt before it like finally mists over again, and you feel as if the moment there ends as you just see your own reflections kind of standing like with like a quizzical look on your faces like All right, and then I guess to wrap it up, the bathroom is pretty awesome. It even has fresh pure water working. It's a large cast iron tub, perfectly clean toilet, not a stain on it. Nothing really too much of value. Does seem to be cleaned recently here. You got towels and such ready. Yeah, and you can even get hot or cold water if you want to mess around with that. Wash your hands up a bit. You know, how often you get the chance to kind of actually clean yourself up as an adventurer? Probably not very often. Alright, so if you guys want to make your way back down to the ticket booth, I'm sure you'd probably want to have a bit of discussion over all that, and then we can keep on trucking.
Sounds good. Trey looks good as a cloak. We're moving on.
All right, and as you guys would exchange some small talk there, and definitely some compliments there to the cloak, you kind of would make your way back to the entry gate. And you all have your tickets to the House of Relics passed. Unless there's any objections, I guess we can keep moving that way.
Trey kind of follows the lead of those who have been here before.
All right. So you guys go back to the familiar fountain, and then perhaps if you'll stop at the start of the bridge for me there. Yep. And you guys kind of take the little path there leading away from the fountain, and it starts to come into a nice lush forest around you. Takes about a 10-15 minute walk, quite pleasant, and eventually ends in a stone bridge that spans a gap of cloudy sky and crosses to another kind of forested island there. Next to the bridge is a sign that shows a riddle of sorts and seemingly a bunch of attempts to solve it with a bunch of things crossed out and stuff. Someone seems to be clearly working through it, as you suddenly discover who that person is, as a rumbling, shaking sound starts to greet you as this troll pulls himself up from the end of the bridge as he smashes into the ground. Large hands pulling up on the bridge. Somehow he's hanging out down there as trolls do. As he reveals himself, this giant troll. It looks like he'd be quite a nasty one. You probably immediately start to reach for your weapons. However, Elaith and Milo, you would recognize him, perhaps from previous times. However, now he kind of stands up before you onto the bridge. You can see he has a little small crystal lantern kind of hanging from his neck, and as you approach, guardedly, I would assume, he clears his throat and says, "Answer my riddle, or pay the toll. Look, there it is. I feel like I almost got it myself." And this is another little quick handout I can show.
Is the riddle your name? Because we already answered that one.
My name? How would you know my name?
We gave it to you last time we talked to you.
Who do you think I am? I've never met you in my life. And I'd recognize one that's as ugly as you. Now,
Yes, quite a compliment.
don't distract me. I almost had the answer, and you made me forget. Now look, and he points down at the sign, and that should be available for you guys to see. It's his troll toll. He says, "What has scales but cannot swim?" You'll never get this. As you see his attempts. He's got lizards. No, probably not it. Dry skin. Oh, that's close, but maybe not. Mermaids. No, they can swim. The undead? Well, no, they don't actually have scales. No. What about that blood pudding? Okay, maybe I'm just hungry now. Chocolate pudding? Anyways. So yeah. But he turns to you. He's kind of scratching his head, and he's like, "Pudding! as he's kind of expecting an answer from you guys. And he says, or, and he kind of like holds his little necklace up, pay the toll.
Scales, we cannot swim. How about music?
No! And you see like this like look of just borderline frustration as he kind of almost visibly face palms there. And he's like, you may pass. I, Turian, will allow you to go forth. And he likes quickly erasing all his little like scratch marks on there. Yes, music, yes. Of course. Why didn't Rogarna tell me that?
Well, if you spent more time at the pavilion where there's music, where the music is free, you would have known that.
Well, I would like that, but Rogarna has placed me here. And this is where I'm supposed to be working, so, I wouldn't want to disappoint her. Although I haven't seen her in the last week or so. I kind of miss her. She's really nice.
Oh, where do you think she might be?
Well, I don't really know. I've just been here, hanging out, trying to, work with any customers. Although I'll admit, we haven't had very many, not like we used to. I'm afraid this place may go to waste one, if, all the fun. I miss the screams. Of pleasure, of course. But if you're on your way to the House of Relics Past, you may go on across the bridge. I will not stop you, or shine my pretty light at you.
Oh, what does your pretty light do?
It kind of makes you bruise a little easier. It's kind of cool.
Oh.
Ain't nothing like a bruised banana before you eat it, you know what I mean?
Or make banana bread.
Oh. He's like, I have many things to think about now.
Trey reaches into his steward's handy spice pouch and pulls out some cinnamon and gives it to the troll and says, here, when you make your banana bread, add this. It'll really, really spice things up for you.
He like goes to sniff it and some goes up and he like, oh, True, what is this?
Oh, yeah, you got to be careful of that. Just make sure you add it from a distance.
He's like, is this some kind of weird challenge?
No. It's just a normal challenge. When you cook.
I'll have to give this to May. But she'd be up on ahead. I think you'll like her. But I got some work to do now. Very important work. Please do not disturb me. As he looks like he's about to resume a nap.
Thank you, friend. Thank you, friend. Trey will cross the bridge.
And I'll just say too, for like Alaith, earlier whenever you had mentioned like his name and such as that, he clearly seemed to have no recollection of that whatsoever. So take that for what you will. But you did bring it up, so you definitely would notice that he seemed to not he did not register that. Period. But you guys can go on here to the House of Relics Past, and you notice that the grounds here are very well maintained. To the south, there's like a large hedge maze of sorts, and a little wooden building there. You see. And let me transfer you guys over real quick to another map. So I'll admit this isn't the prettiest of maps, but it'll have to do. Alright, and so since I knew this one was going to come through a bit grainy and such, I think in case we do need them for anything, we can have the tokens out, although for some reason one of them didn't come across. Who am I missing? Trey. Let me try that again with Trey. There you are. So if we need the singular tokens, we can always bring them out, but you can see that I have this party token, which... can y'all move that?
I cannot. I cannot.
Okay.
I cannot.
All right. Now you should be able to now.
I see everybody's token.
Okay. So we'll use the party token initially, and then of course, like, just for a fair game, I'm not going to limit anyone's personal actions. If there's anything that someone needs to break away for any reason, we have your tokens there too. So you guys kind of start at the gateway here, and you're here at the entrance, and so you can kind of physically see that down to the south there is like a bit of a garden hedge maze kind of set up there. So I've revealed a decent amount of it. Quite really reveal a bit more. You kind of see the entrance to that, and then there's the entrance to the actual house of Relics Past. So you guys can kind of move that party token around however you see fit. I don't think anyone can. It's not really, doesn't really matter that much, but of course we can discuss it. Of course, Yeah, because at this time you see the House of Relics Past there in front of you. You're kind of at the gateway to that, and then down south there's like the garden, hedge maze, and so it's kind of like either one of those really is wherever you start. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Where's the door?
So the token is slightly covering it, but maybe sorry, this map's not the best, but maybe.
Milo, since you have the most experience in this area, you want to go first? What are we using the party token for?
So we'll just use that to travel through this area, and then, like I was saying, if we need to bust out singular tokens, we can. There's going to be more to the map, but we're kind of like in the first section. So,
all right. I'm go through the door, but I can't see anything. It's so black.
Okay, I was just kind of waiting for the first indication of where you wanted to go. So you go into the room as a group, of course, and you see another door there to the south, and there's a Herringon in there.
Yep, kill it.
Oh god!
Fireball.
Whoa! You can see that this is kind of like the entryway here is like a carriage house, I guess. So yeah. Okay, so you park your car in here basically. It's like the garage of the house, but other than a couple like bags of oats and such, it's pretty empty. Other than the Herringon here, and as you enter, he looks up. He seems to be like a very like down to earth fellow. He's the gardener. You can definitely see just by looking at him. He was kind of sweeping up in the middle of that, and as he kind of looks up and sees you and says, "Wow, my, we haven't had ourselves a visitor in a while." He kind of like reaches up, and underneath a straw hat, he kind of scratches in between his long floppy ears of this Herringon, kind of rabbit folk, and he kind of hitches up his get along there and looks over to you and says, "Well, my name's Kip. We haven't had any visitors here at the House of Relics in quite a while. Wow. I guess you got your tickets and all, but I wouldn't mind the conversation, but I got a bit of work to do. There's another broom there if you want to pick it up, and I could use some stacking of those bags of grain. If you don't mind getting your hands dirty, we could share a bit of an exchange of words, if you will."
Okay, Thornhill will quickly stack the grain while somebody else sweeps.
Trail sweep.
All right, so as you guys kind of, he kind of gives you a quick little points you out things to do and stuff in here. You start to tidy up and help him stack things and get things ready. He's more than willing to have a chat, and he says, Like I said, yeah, I haven't seen any guests here in several weeks. It's been a little kind of quiet, a little lonely. But business as usual. Here we are, always, working along. Normally I'm in the pavilion, but Rogarna asked us to stay here in the House of Relics. Not sure why. What are y'all up to? Just here to enjoy the sights?
Why are we here?
Well, aren't we looking for a way to save everybody from the impending doom that's creeping upon them?
Well, I mean, we are getting mighty bored, but that might be a bit extreme.
Well, if you can't be dramatic, and then Trey makes the cloak billow.
He's like, wow! Go ahead and make a persuasion check with advantage. Nice. The cloak saved you there. As he says, oh,
Yeah.
wow, well, that's like something Rogarna would do. She's mighty fancy herself. Come to think of it, I'm trying to think of the last time I saw her. And I know, 3 weeks or so ago, she was here in the garden. Yeah, she was visiting Eloise. Yeah, I remember that. Well, look, I don't want you to think I'm an eavesdropper, but I was kind of trimming up the hedges and such, and I'm only telling you this because I'm worried about her. It's been a while, and you guys are talking about something or another. Maybe I don't know. Rogarna could probably help, if anything. But I overheard her talking to Eloise out there in the garden, and she said something like, "Please, Eloise, please open the cave." And Eloise said something like, what was it? No, that path only leads to suffering. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it was the darndest thing. But as long as Rogarna's been gone, too, Eloise, she's only been sleeping. I heard she only finally woke up and left her room yesterday. Well, I don't know if that makes any sense to y'all, or if that helps at all, but I'm just a gardener.
Well, where would we find her?
I suspect she's probably in the temple in the garden today. I think I saw her earlier there when I was maintaining and doing some watering,
Sorry, I missed some of the conversation. I had to step away. What's going on?
This humble Harangon man, he was very impressed with the billowing of the cloak, and he broke down and admitted that he's quite concerned since there's not been anyone around. Rogarna has been missing for, it seems to be a few weeks-ish. Kind of one of the last times he saw her, he overheard her speaking with a woman named Eloise, and it was something to the effect where Rogarna was pleading with her to open the cave, and Eloise replied with the effect of, that path only leads to suffering. Sounded better through his voice, I'd say. But I love Kip now. He's coming back. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And so he's like, nah, hope you don't think any less of me. I promise I wasn't intending to eavesdrop on them. I just happened to overhear it. But like I said, hopefully it's helpful, I guess. We really need Rogarna around here. She makes everything happen.
And Trey says to him, he says, "No, there's no need to apologize. If you heard that, you were meant to hear it. It wasn't you eavesdropping. It was nature dropping you a clue. So you've done the right thing. We're gonna find her."
He gives you the forearm clasp of brotherhood as he's like, "Thank you. I think I needed that. That's kind of twisted me up a bit, but you're right. Whatever it takes to bring this pace back. It's been a lonely couple weeks, and I want to go back to the pavilion. It's That's where it's happening. It's nice there. My true passion is dancing, I'll admit. That's why I was so impressed with your billowing of the cloak.
Oh yeah, it's great, isn't it?
He starts tap dancing with his large padded feet. All right, so yeah, there at the end, he did kind of. If you're curious about Eloise, he had mentioned her being like in a temple in the garden, but there also is like a door there that leads further into this area, this building or whatever. So it's up to you guys.
You guys wanted to go to the temple or door?
I'd say we go talk to Eloise before we go in the house.
Is this a door here, or is this a window?
That is indeed the start of our maze here, and so we'll just reveal as we go to keep it all in tune. And we'll kind of stop and go as there'll be some sights along the way. But as far as now, yeah, you kind of come into the maze.
This maze is made of shrubs, right? So a fireball would get rid of it.
It does seem to be like normal hedges and such, kind of like lining it all up. Let me see. Okay, the maze. So yeah, as you enter, you notice that it seems pretty regular plants, but you don't notice any weeds. Very well maintained. This 10-foot high fence kind of lets you in. It's made of like gleaming steel, kind of in contrast to the foliage awaiting you on the other side. You come into the interior here. Those hedge walls are also about 10 feet high. And everything here is about uniformly lit as if by a noonday sun in spring. And you'll kind of recognize that that's kind of the theme here in Rogarinus Place, is that it's always quite pleasant. Always like, you don't really see a sun in the sky, but everything is just kind of just uniformly lit. Pretty nice. And you can start to make your way in. There's a path that goes a little further this way, and then one that goes down. You could make your choice there. Okay,
let's go this way.
Sounds good.
Okay. I'm gonna... One second, I'm gonna pull up my little cheat sheet for this, so I have it a little easier. Okay, sorry about that. Alrighty, so you start to take the turn in there, and you see a well. Of course, there's another little break in the hedge going forward. There's another one kind of going back down south. But you can take a look at the well, of course, if you'd like, and you'll see that it's a pretty regular well with a hand pump surrounded by orange chrysanthemums. As you look and peer down into the water, looks cool and safe to drink if you wanted to fill up your water skins and such, but I don't really notice.
Thornir will. He'll fill up his water skin and take a drink.
Yeah, Trey, I'll take a drink. It's
Constitution. No, I'm just kidding. It's very nice and cool. Seems like a little. If you get lost in here, at least you can come get a drink of water.
Let's continue on this way.
Everyone in agreement with that?
Yeah.
All right. If you come into this next little section, you see it opens up a little bit to, I'd guess if you're heading this way, that'd be to your left and your right, and then kind of a little narrow path there to the front.
Let's go to the front, the narrow path.
You mean up?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So I'm going to check back to the north. You kind of come in here and see it's just a dead end. So, gotcha.
All right, then let's keep going the east.
Okay. Gotta love the old maze, eh? All right, and so you come into this little section, and you can see a little bit more as it opens up. Kind of continues forward, of course. You can see where you can see down this way. It just narrows down and turns. There's a little bit of a strip up here to the north as well, and a turn. So you can kind of see what's in that corner whenever you want. But first, you dip down to the south. You see there's a fountain as well as like this, like kind of plant fixture there. And so, real quick. A quick description of the fountain. Seems to be almost a direct copy of the one that you appeared here in, like the entry gate. It has the same words carved around it: hospitality, ownership, reciprocity. And yeah, the water seems nice, cool, clear. If you were thirsty in this place, I mean, you're definitely not now. Water's everywhere. Yeah, and the other thing you see in here is that plant fixture is like a set of like hedged in section of hydrangea flowers. Seems to be purely decorative, but it's pretty nice little touch here. You can see back this way, this kind of, oops, I revealed too much. No, that's all good. But yeah, this kind of just wraps around in typical maze fashion.
Let's backtrack a little bit. Go down here.
Okay.
All right. You find yourself at another crossroads.
So you keep going straight.
Yet another crossroads.
Look over
Go
here.
to the west, just to.
Yep. You guys can kind of take a look left and right there, and you see kind of leading up to that is a dead-end section of the maze that has been lined with these beautiful yellow flowers, and then they kind of stop and surround this worn statue of a woman. In the woman's left hand, she holds what looks like a stone card, and the right hand faces palm up and empty.
Can we read the card?
You can. It has the word fortune chiseled into it. And on her right hand, that's palm up, there's like a small indentation, probably like the size of a vial or so, in her palm.
The size of a vial. So it looks like, if I'd make a perception check, I wonder if we make an offering, but does it look like it would hold a gold coin or so? Fortune?
You kind of hard to say there exactly, but as you would like gaze upon the statue, if anyone's curious what or who this is representing, they could make a religion check.
Don't know much.
The winner gets a 15.
That's just Trey.
Milo or Lath, y'all want to take a stab at it just to see maybe you recognize this this depiction? So,
Nope.
I'll give y'all a gimme.
So, I'm wondering if the vial is related to the water. If we put like a vial of water in there, she'll give us something.
From the fountain or from the well?
I was thinking from the fountain back here that we originally drank from. Or this one up here.
That's the well. Okay.
Oh, yeah, from there then.
Let's go to the well and collect a vial of water, and then come down and put it in her palm.
Okay, so I will say that Thornir and Trey, you can't really particularly identify what goddess this would be, but something kind of rings in your mind, perhaps from like a dusty tome you looked over. It kind of rings the bell from perhaps a forgotten religion, that's not really in use in this day in time, and perhaps this would be an Olympian goddess. Although with a better, it's a DC 20, so with that you would have gotten probably the full name and everything. But you can kind of, you're like, yeah, it kind of rings a weird bell in your mind of maybe that's kind of like, if that means anything to your character or not. You may know more or not, but yeah, they kind of just, yeah, there's that. And then as you guys go to get the water from the fountain in return, as you kind of start to walk through those plants, if you'll make me just like a nature check as you're kind of going through.
Ooh. What plants?
Yeah, not good for nature.
I'm ashamed to be a ranger at this moment.
Elaith, the fellow ranger in the party, you recognize these plants as fox trumpets. They're these yellow flowers that are known to be poisonous. Apparently, you dry the leaves and grind them into a powder, and that can cause convulsions. And then you actually didn't roll quite high enough. And I know that's like, you gotta get it to get the answer there in a sense. But this is actually just like a tidbit of information, which I think is kind of cool. There's no harm in telling you, but it's like if you would have rolled higher than a 20, you'd be a effing nature expert, and you'd know that these fox trumpets are native to a domain of dread known as Cartacus. So I thought that was kind of cool little tidbit that they threw in here. Other than that, you guys return with your bottle of water of sorts, and you put it in the palm, and nothing really seems to happen. And I guess I could give you a little tip there that so you're on the right track of sorts, but that's not quite worthy of a goddess.
So let's get the water from the fountain then.
Right. You did that, and that's how it didn't quite work. That wasn't didn't seem like that's enough.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, what about the well?
Oh yeah, either way, any water from the water, any water. That's not the not quite.
I'm thinking maybe wine or holy water or something a little bit richer. Does anybody have any wine? I've got this dandelion mead from an event award. I give her a little bit of that. That's a mini potion of healing. So it's magical. It's worth something. It's a nice offering, I'd say.
Okay, and there I think you're kind of a little more on the right track, where it would require like a token or prayer of sorts. And so you put your token of like the glass of mead there, and you watch as somehow it seems to like the level of the mead in the glass like slowly drains down, and in its place refills with another solution, if you will. And this will it looks like a shimmering golden mist kind of just appears in the glass, like almost like liquid vapor there, as you'd recognize this as a potion of advantage.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that'd be a second potion. You got the greater healing earlier and the advantage now. And basically it's like you drink it, and for the next hour, like almost any roll you want can have advantage, and then I think it goes away after that.
All right. We'll say a little prayer of thank you.
Oh yeah. And yeah, I'm not really one to ever like withhold information technically if it's not gonna if it's just for flavor or lore. So I'll tell you this was Tyche. Tyche, I think, the Olympian goddess of fortune. But that religion is now completely collapsed, and this goddess is thought to be dead. But apparently someone here still is reverent, so you guys can continue in the maze in any way, and you'll see that this is just a little windy turn trying to trip you up. Didn't fall for it this time. Almost got you. You almost got you. All right, so you guys continue on, and you see probably the saddest part of the maze.
Oh no.
No, it's another little dead-end passage quite near the house, as you can see there, is looming next to you. And you see this little small tombstone with a pretty fairly recently dug grave, pretty small though, and planted atop this grave is a bird of paradise flower. The tombstone has a simple design and says, "In memory." Below the inscription is an image of a cat. And yeah, you can see that it seems to be pretty recent there.
Oh, definitely say a little prayer there.
Yep, so that's there. And so kind of weighs heavily on your minds and hearts as you could continue a little deeper on.
Yeah. Well, go this way?
All right, so you come up on the next little item of interest as you see a statue, but strangely enough, the head of it seems to be lopped off, if you will, and it's just broken off and chilling there nearby in the grass with a very stoic impression upon its face. And you can see how near the statue someone has planted more of these orange chrysanthemums. Seems to be kind of a cool theme in here. And if you take a look at this person, you guys could all make a history check for me.
Remember this guy, his name's Ichabod Crane.
So only Trey, he remembers or has heard the Netherese legend of Fustine. Ah, Fustine. You guys haven't heard the legend of Fustine and what happened to him? Trey has. That is a Netherese wizard. Long ago, he attempted to enslave a being, but apparently that being turned towards him, freezing him in his tracks, leaving him as a remnant, a warning to those who would contemplate harm or try to enslave others. Perhaps it's just a legend, but man, the Netherese gear on this guy, and kind of just, you remember that, kind of rings in your mind there, Trey.
The fitting fate for somebody who tried to do something so selfish.
Can only agree. And for continuing on, there's a few little windy turns that leads you to this ruined looking temple with the mouth of it here. And as you guys are turning these corners, you see this crumbling temple. And as you make your way to the entrance, you'd see the broken arch. It seems to be kind of worn, but you see how it starts. It says fortune favors, and then the rest of it kind of just like blah, 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 blah. It's kind of just hard to discern what else was there. But in the back of the temple, you could see a hooded figure slowly clipping a flowering plant. Just that from this point, you could tell that it's a woman, but other than that, I can't really see anything.
Let's enter in the temple.
All right, let's do just that. As you come into the temple, this figure, who she turns towards your group and says, "Oh, well, I'll admit you are a little early, but better than late. I am Eloise. I've been waiting. It looks as if my workings had some effect. We're going to need to heal the rift and save Rogarna."
How do we do that?
She steps a little closer to you, and you could see that this hood kind of covers up over her head, and her gaze is turned towards the ground. And as you it almost seems rude at first, but as she has this conversation with you, she never looks at your way at all. She definitely makes it a point to look down as she says, "Poor Rogarna. Even in an attempt to do the right thing, she still has found herself ever plagued by those that would just try to see her be a part of something that she must not. I've been alive for a long, long time. There's been many stories that have taken my fancy, and yet hers may be the grandest and most tragic. Well, I'd like to see it end in a most pleasant way, if we can." she's lost her intellect, she lost her foresight, and she lost her memory. You see, as she came here, I guess you could say she gave birth to those little kittens in a way, and imparted upon her own memory, her own intellect, her own foresight. I warned her against such an act, and yet as she's ventured out of here, something must have happened to her. I'm still piecing all that together, and yet we haven't really figured out what's wrong with her. I think it must be memory. You see, memory had passed away. We had the birthday party for Rogerna about 3 weeks now. Rogerna left, as we had discussed, the following day to follow the stream back to where she can escape, as the Seelie have really blocked us in here. No one was coming in, no one was coming out. I did this at her request, and then shortly after we found memory, I can only think now Rogerna's lost, with no clue of who she is or what's going on. There's no telling what she'll do, and now with her foresight and her intellect collected, I'm afraid she may start to make some bold moves to reclaim her domain and what's hers. Well, if we're able to save her, and perhaps any others caught up in this, you have but two choices. I'll admit one's a little easier than the other, but it's up to you which one you would like to take. I can send you back to save memory, and I'll admit that would probably be the easier thing to do. Or I could send you back to try to prevent whatever had happened to begin with. And yet I fear that the way down that stream may be more difficult. So, either way, we must remedy this, but I'll leave it in your hands. If you're feeling tough, up for the challenge, confident in your abilities, and you want to try to do the best we can here, I'm willing to go forward. Or we could definitely just fix this by saving memory, and I think Rogerna will remember who she is, and all will come to be right in time. Do you have any questions, or would you want to take a moment to deliberate on your further?
Let's take a moment. What do you guys think?
Trey's a space cook. He wants to do the more difficult thing. Seems like that's going to lead to the best remedy of the situation. Although, it is tempting to try to save a kitten. So all else being equal, I say we do the more difficult.
I agree.
All right. Looks like we're taking the difficult path. So this will be a great time for us to take a quick break, take a little bathroom break or whatever. Before we do, though, I'll just say that, yeah, there was totally a choice here, and you've sealed your fate. It's nothing like too crazy. I know you guys are going to be more than capable. That being said, this is it's kind of interesting how they did this, where they did 1, 2, and 3 for the modules, and they did the APL, the average party level. It upped by the module as well. So it started with 8 and then 9, and then now this module is leveled for APL 10. So we do have 2 level 10s, and then we have 2 level 8s, and there's only 4 of you guys. So that's why, I'll scale back, of course, but just keep in mind, so that's why there is a little warning of danger and stuff there. But you guys have seemed more than up for the challenge. So we'll pick back up on this in just a few minutes. I'd say no more than 5 if you can, and we'll all put an X in chat and get back going.
All right, before we go, Trey's gonna pull from his spice pouch just like some nice herbal tea and give it to what's her name, Rowena? Or this is Eloise.
Yeah.
Gives it to Eloise and says, Well, thank you for sharing with us. This will make a nice calming drink for you, when you at the end of a hard day. And
Well, I
so,
guess trust is usually gained over sharing a drink or a food, and so I willingly accept. And you see the top of the cup kind of disappear into her hood for a moment, and there almost seems to be like this rustling in the top of her head around the hood. Is, oh my goodness, what could that be? As she lowers the cup, and she, it's actually quite good. Thank you.
yeah,
A
and
little more
he
hopeful.
flavored it to sort of match the flowers of the area that he's seen. Not the poison ones, of course, but the
To open up the
you know.
stream, it is quite taxing, and I'll be able to use every bit of energy I can get. So, thank you.
Ooh, and for that he pulls out some Earl Grey and he says, "You might need this afterwards.
She's
Take
like,
caffeine."
she's got like 2 cups. Like, okay, I want to be rude. Okay, it's good. Very tasty. All right, I'll see y'all in just a few.
Right.
All right, I see in chat we got Thornir back and myself. There's Trey coming in.
Trey's back.
All right. Got Reese and Milo. Cool. All right. Welcome back. Hope you guys are enjoying it thus far. I know I definitely am.
Yeah, I played a really combat heavy one last night, so this is a really nice change from that. I like these ones where you have a chance to just really get into your character in a rich way and not just say, I'm going to shoot my bow.
Heck yeah, I love that. I know I'm always trying to work on my ability to provide like role play opportunities, and I know in Adventurers League it can be difficult with the time restraints and such. So yeah, I'm really glad to hear that. Thank you. All right, and with that, let's keep going. As Eloise says, okay, now that you've had a moment to get everything ready, like I said, just be ready. The Guardians await it when you kind of clip tone as she's focusing her magic. I'm opening up a more difficult path for you. We can truly set this all right. Time can be difficult to control. You know, I used to be just a regular girl long ago, and yet perhaps I got a bit too ahead of myself. Manipulation of time isn't always favored by the gods. And yet, even worse, things always seem to go wrong. I learned that for me to manipulate, perhaps sometimes it's best left alone. I only say this as a warning, as my emissaries. I'm grateful, but be careful. There are things out of my control, and yet the stream, you must take the path aside from it. And now, close your eyes and be ready. And she gestures as you close your eyes, and you feel this magic kind of work around you as like an archway. And you know, if any of you were peeking, you kind of see it start above and almost like ripple out and form like a cage of sorts around you of like this connecting beams of light as it encases you. And then the last thing you would hear is her kind of say, remember, fortune favors the brave, as boom, you kind of phase out. And thankfully this is a lot less stomach wrenching than your trip into Rogarnus place, and instead this is almost just like one moment you're there, one moment you're not. And as you would open your eyes and kind of feel this sensation, you find yourself with like a strange view. You and your companions there facing the beginnings of this river as it kind of twists from one side of your vision to another, and it kind of curls up right to where your feet are, and there seems to be this boat there moored, ready to go with rowboats, and could easily, with a little bit of effort, sail on down the river. And yet you just hear those words echoing in your mind where it says, you know, fortune favors the bold. And you could see kind of twisting off and around, just a hop and a skip over the river and such. There's a rocky path that ascends up and kind of forms like almost a natural like land bridge over the top of the river, and kind of crests on and continues into like a mouth of a cave. Oh, and real quick, just small detail. She had told you that once you are completed with your work, so to speak, if you go to the fountain in the center of the maze and say to work, it will transport you back to where you're supposed to go. So just, you'll need that information later, obviously. So anyways, which path would you guys like to take? Would you want to take the rowboat down the river, or would you like to take perhaps the rocky hike up towards the looming ominous cave?
Cave.
Trey has no preference.
Well, Milo can't. I'm not very strong, so it would be hard for me to climb.
Mike
Ray
was
has a
correct.
climbing speed, so I could climb up and lower a rope down if that would help.
Or
So you
I could go. I could go into my bottle, and if someone just wants to carry the bottle up,
Yeah,
then I could,
I'll do that.
just don't drop it, please.
I will try not to.
It's awesome. Okay, so we figured out a game plan and are committed to staying on the tough path, essentially, as we had determined earlier still. But of course, the visual representation of it is nice, and you committed to the tough path. And so either way you would have seen one thing as you go. Either you would have seen it on the boat looking up on the land bridge above you, or you would see it walking by it. But as you guys make your way to the open, dark cave mouth, you come across 3 statues that you can take a look at real quick. It's kind of a sandy, rough path leading up this cliff face, and you'd definitely be breaking a sweat by the time you're up there, and but it's not too strenuous, more or less. But potentially something lays further on by the clues given. But you do go up and you see these 3 statues, each one definitely very unique, and you can kind of take a second to look at them. If everybody wants to make a medicine check, you could do that as well. And you see that arranged around this kind of cliff wall before the cave mouth, they're wreathed in flowers from the garden. Holy hell, Trey. Nice. Nice. I think it might be the first crit of the game, eh?
Yeah.
So, looks like Trey... you are able to determine immediately, and if anybody else just wants to see if they would naturally know, feel free to roll. Unfortunately, Elaith, you would not recognize this, but Trey, you could see that these are most certainly petrified humans, clearly. But one of them is a young girl with pigtails who appears to be grasping an injured leg, and so she's just kind of like looking up with like a mixture of like pain and like fear on her face. In the middle, you see kind of a middle-aged looking, like veteran-looking man, kind of scruffy. Looks like he's probably seen a few battles in his day, and he's dressed in cold weather gear, and he just is kind of standing there, like with a kind of an almost accepting look on his face as he just like stares off into the distance. And then the last is a celestial being, kind of like down on one knee. With the I won't even make you roll for it again, but since you got a crit on the first medicine check, kind of another look with that in mind reveals that the back of this celestial being is just riddled with arrow wounds. You can see, and just for a little background on this, some of you may recognize, some may not, just based off what you played and stuff. And there's a little bit I'd like to share of my end too, as Eloise has some people in her life that she desperately has tried to save, but couldn't find the correct path to rectify the situation through her magical manipulation of time, or she just couldn't get it quite right. All these individuals have been inflicted with some sort of wound or magical ailment that she just can't find the answer for yet. And so instead of letting them die in these timelines she was trying to mess with, she has turned the individuals to stone, hoping that someday she can find a way to reverse the condition and truly save them. And so the first one is Foon. She actually is mentioned in a poem in ROG 2 with the lightning lizard. There's I think it's called Phone and the Lightning Lizard or whatever. So there's there's just a little tidbit there. So if you remember that, guys, that did play that, this is her. She's this little girl frozen now with her kind of grievous wound. Perhaps was bleeding out, from that leg wound. And so she tried to do what she can, and perhaps one day we'll find a way to truly save her. The second character here is a guy named Rog Dranian, and so I don't know if you guys had ever really heard of these modules before this, or the ROG code in these modules or anything, but I just randomly picked up the Plague of Ancients one, I guess is what it's called, the Icewind Dale season. The DCPLA ROG.
Yeah.
There's a trilogy
I can
there.
play those.
Yeah, so I've ran those 3 games on this server like a year ago, and yeah, I kind of committed to running that trilogy and did that, and it was cool and stuff, and featured a guy named Rog Dranian, who here he is. I'm honestly I ran those 3 modules, so I'm not exactly sure what his fate was that led him. Or I think maybe it's just something I can't quite remember. Maybe there's something that comes up in the third one that would lead to him being like this. But if you ever play DC, POA, ROG 1, 2, or 3, they're all about this guy, Rog Dranian. And so here he is, frozen in time, hoping to be saved. And the third one is a solar. His name is Alton. And I guess I really don't know as much about that guy, honestly. But yeah, maybe he comes up in some other things that I haven't really played or anything. But there's a solar named Alton, Alton. So if you've come across him or anything, let me know. But otherwise, here he is, frozen in time with arrow wounds. So, alright, so not much you can do to save these foes, but it definitely kind of sheds a little more light on Eloise's character and the things that she's kind of cursed with her abilities and such, and how she came to be the Medusa that she is now, even, through these manipulations. And yet, you see this dark cave mouth beckoning you forward.
Well, Trey has pretty good stealth. Do you want me to go ahead and look, or should we just all go in as a group?
Group.
So you got one stealth, one says group. What about the other 2?
I say group. Let's just go. We've been doing fine so far, so let's just keep it going.
Like any of us are running
Right.
heavier, right? So we should be fine.
Alright, I'm going to go ahead and slot you guys over here as you would be coming from the left side and kind of making your way across this kind of ridge up here at the top, and then it kind of disappears into another little tunnel, which seemingly would like wrap around and kind of come out of the cave mouth right here. So you guys can kind of figure out your game plan and marching order of sorts and all that here at the cave mouth. So you, kind of a bit of imagination, but you wrap around this path. It would kind of circle into a cave mouth, which would, through the magic of video game logic, it suddenly spits you out here in this mouth here. You can keep on going around, but yeah, as I said, you could kind of get your formation and such here. If it'll pop up, here it is. Boop.
Do you want us to put ourselves down there?
Yeah, that'd be the where you come out. So you kind of wrap around subterraneously and then come out here. That's a good starting point for you guys up there to find your token and such. And then so now you can get your little game plan. If someone's forward or backwards or however you want to go. If you all wanted to attempt stealth, you could all certainly attempt that or whatever that was mentioned.
Yeah, Thornir's not stealthy, so he won't.
I can cast Pass Without Trace on us, so that'll help.
Sure.
We should do that. So, all right, let me do that. We say I did that outside the cave, or?
Oh yeah, sure. Or you can do it here at the mouth as well.
All right. Oh, that should help. That'll be 27 for Trey. I'd roll.
So 27 for Leif, and 14 for Tijuana.
for Milo.
Okay, let me get this all together. Okay, so I figured, even with the 14, you guys are pretty dang stealthy. So you start to make your way through this cavern. It kind of would wrap around on that bridge and wrapping down until you're, until you're down in the lower level, and you can see these rocks down at the bottom. They kind of have these statues on them, and so yeah, I mean, honestly, I'll be completely forthright. This is essentially like you could pass it right by right now if you want to. So you pass their passive perception, and so you had the pass without trace. That's definitely like the successful way to do it. So definitely nothing, like it's totally cool. That's definitely the option in here. Really, the only reason I even bring it up is this is like the only combat encounter. So the only reason I say it is if you guys want or itching for a fight and you want to just go ahead and have it, we can do it. We definitely have the time to and stuff like that. But I mean, you successfully evaded the encounter in that sense, because he would creep down and you'd kind of see like these statues there and encased like in the rock. They're kind of frozen, but they don't see you. They don't notice you creeping down through, and you can just keep on going right on down the tunnel, if you want to, or you could stop and get a little too curious. So I'll just leave it up to y'all if y'all want to put a vote to it or something. If y'all want to have a quick, fight for the sake of the day, I'm more than game. But I'm also have no problem with y'all just, being able to stealth past it either.
What do you guys think?
I mean, I can go either way, but I guess I'd sort of lean to just sneaking by.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's sneak on by.
Well,
Okay.
Milo doesn't really like combat. I mean, he'll participate, drop a fireball here and there, but he prefer the least resistance.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds like we want to sneak then.
Okay, so everything's all perfectly good with that, as you're able to do that with your character. So you drop into stealth. You do cast a sidelong glance at these statues. One of them in particular seems ready to break it free from its mold. And just for behind the screen, that's just an iron golem, So it would just been an iron golem, But it's like a CR16, so they're pretty gnarly guys. So yeah, perhaps better evaded. As you guys just keep on going through, knowing that actually time is of the essence and y'all have a job to do, that people's lives are at stakes, and there's no barbarians in the party or anything, so you press on through and kind of bump back to this map, but we're going to be on the bottom right side. So as far as your tokens, it'll be kind of the same as before. You can, if we need them, we'll drag them over, but otherwise we'll just use the party token. And yes, if you're not there yet, is the very bottom right of the map. Very bottom right, I'm pinging, and you will be in the temple. So as soon as you get through this like cave, you realize you were kind of wandering through like a essentially your mind's physical representation of walking through time. And you made your choice and went through the path you've taken, and you come out of this time travel back here where you started, but clearly things are very different from before, as you don't see Eloise there before you as she was. And Yep. So you're here in the Temple of Tyke, and you notice that it's just nice, fresh daytime in here as you come out, and you feel you must remove something that has caused this incident without being seen by anyone here. You kind of, I guess we were moving through there, but she would have definitely impressed upon you the importance of avoiding the Herringons here, because this is like business as usual, and if they see somebody that they don't recognize, they will do something about that. And also at this point in time, they would not have, you guys only met Kip in the beginning, but there's a few others she's indicating, and that you're kind of stealth, which seems like it's probably not gonna be an issue. How long does that spell last?
Up to it lasts for an hour. Yeah.
So honestly, this part of the encounter will probably be fairly quick, which is okay.
Yeah. I can cast it again if necessary.
And there will be kind of like a series of stealth checks too. So pretty much, unless anybody like totally doesn't hit it, then should be fine. That being said, I guess we'll kind of take it through. So I'm just going to remind you guys of a couple clues that have been presented throughout the modules, just to kind of facilitate it, because otherwise you're like, all I've said is that you're looking for something to stop this from happening, which is pretty vague. So I'll remind you that this was supposed to be around the time that this all started happening was, around Rilgarna's birthday, and there did seem to be something centered around that, to the point where there was rumored to be a bowl of batter found nearby Memory the morning after Rilgarna's birthday, as well as Kip, while you talked to Kip, he may have mentioned that he and the other Herringons have had like repeated trips to the bathroom and such after eating the cake. So those kind of would have been a couple little clues that Eloise may have mentioned or something in passing, like just to kind of give you more of an indication of stuff, rather so you're not just shooting in the dark.
If someone put X-Lax in the cake.
Perhaps so. So we'll kind of go step by step here as you guys would come through the maze, and initially you'd see Kip. So as you, I'll just jaunt your token up here. As you're coming through this area, you would most certainly need to stealth again to get past him without any incident. And so you already got that plus 10. So if everybody just wants to cruise through another roll real quick.
Ooh.
And then if you guys want to change your plan here in any way, certainly I'm not trying to make the decisions for you, but yeah, this one isn't as good. So
well, Trey's is a 23 because that's without the plus 10, so it's still
okay, good, yeah, okay, that's better.
Okay, Milo slipped this time. Now it's only 29.
So I think at this point, Milo, you're still in the bottle though, right?
Oh well, I would only been in the bottle till he came up, till he climbed up the top.
Okay, then you're good.
Yeah, I would have got out of the bottle as soon as I knew we were up on top. If that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. So I can just making sure I got it. Okay. So as you are creeping forward, you're making your way through, and it's kind of like we'll imagine the scenario as everyone's all creeping up, kind of like all lined up here on one side, and you're trying to like rush from one to the other side of the hedge without him kind of noticing, and so you start to go. and as you pass, let's see. So we're looking at 13 from Thornir. Milo is pretty up there. Elaith and Reese is good. So I think really the only one is Thornir. So as you go, Thornir, you're like the last to get across, and all of a sudden Kip kind of like perks his ears up and turns, and he's like, "Huh? Who goes there?" And then I'll give you, just because the consequence here is pretty bad, I'll give you one more attempt to stealth by, and you see your friends on the other side of the hedge like beckoning their hands forward, like, come on, hurry, you know, like you notice like the pressure's on. So it's a 27.
No, that's a 17.
17, my bad. Okay, well that actually is still enough. Okay, so thankfully he like draws out this bell and he looks like he's ready. He's like, "Huh? Someone there? We're not scheduled for any guests." And you like just drop to your stomach like flat, like commando style. Oh, and you like, wait a second, like, and it seems tense. And you know, you see your friends like eyes all huge and worried as he kind of looks up over around the fountain for a second and says, damn squirrels again, and kind of turns back to start pruning the plants as he was. And you're able to like scurry over to the other side, and you know that you do not want to be caught, it seems. You're not sure what that bell would do, but it probably wouldn't be friendly. And you guys are able to keep going through, searching for some way to stop this madness. As you can come back up to... So there is a door here to this little, like... Essentially, you have 3 ways of entry here in the front, I guess. You have, like, a front room. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's only 2, huh? Yeah, you have, like, one right there by you, and then there's the original one you came in for, like, the carriage.
Let's go through this door.
All right, so you creak it open and take a look in. And this is actually a room you haven't been in yet, so I'll give you a room description, as well as you see another Harengon in there. 1 second as I get to the... what is actually the Hall of Relics. So I have this a little separated, so I gotta scroll slightly. And you come into this pretty well-sized room, and you see the floor is like very neatly tiled. And you also notice this Harengon gentleman. He kind of looks like a bit more studious than his counterpart you met earlier. And he doesn't initially notice you guys as he has like a pad out, and he seems to be sketching one of these items that's encased in glass on these pedestals. And you definitely could probably catch sight of like 1 or 2 as you go past it if you're interested in what those are, maybe. But otherwise, you can really just see like in the center of the room on that dais, there's like this great sword, and there's like a little sign that says Alton's great sword, please do not touch. Other than that, there's like other items in those glass things, and then you also see Archie sitting there just sketching away. And if you want to enter the room, we'll need another passive stealth. So this is supposed to be challenging.
It's a 33.
I said it's challenging.
33 for Milo too.
Okay, and so I think with the consequence that could possibly happen, it's best to do it in a singular fashion. So I really would only penalize the one that fails. So this isn't a group check, despite you guys wandering as the party token. That's why I was kind of hinting earlier, like, if there's anything else you want to do, you know, certainly say so. Like, don't make me push you into this situation over and over again if you have a better idea in mind. But if we're going into the situation again, it looks like Thornir's at 14, right?
Yes.
So that actually would be under his passive, as he kind of like would glance up from his sketch pad, and he's like, is someone there? And as before again, I'd kind of give you that chance once more to potentially. That'd be a 21.
21.
Okay, and we'll say you guys were wanting to. Well, you haven't been to the kitchen yet necessarily, so you don't really know where that would be. But there is a door, like right next to you. There's a door here. And there seems to be there's a door there, door here.
Which way you guys want to go?
I say we go north.
Let's head north.
Okay, so
Yeah.
as you pass by, kind of similar situation before, you all duck behind this first little display case, and in that one you could see really quick that there is actually I'll say you run across first. Like everybody runs across to the other one except for Thornir. He kind of like hesitates in his armor and kind of like waits and is the last one for a moment, and that's where he's almost spotted, and then he's about to take off to the others, but as the rest of the party is kind of still beckoning him forward as such. And while you do, though, you see in this pedestal there's a wreath made of golden leaves. Seems pretty fancy, and it's labeled Wreath of Ares, please do not touch. And then while you're sitting there sweating bullets, Thornir, before you finally be like, I can do this, and run across quietly, of course, you notice in that northwest pedestal, since you're there for a second taking a look, you see this massive platinum beholder mask with diamonds for eyes. It's as ornate as could be, and with your expert eye for such a thing, you would probably value it at 50,000 gold or more. Like, it's incredible. And you do see a little label on it, though, and it says Xanathar's funerary mask, please do not touch. And then you guys would pass into this next room, which is, and unless you wanted to change your mind about that in any way. No rogues in the party. Okay. It is a hallway. Seems to be empty.
All right. Shall we head down to the end? Peek around the corner.
So you pass by. You can kind of see that. As you pass.
Oh,
by.
is this a door here?
No, that's what I was about to show though. But you'd see there's like another hallway stretching. Every once in a while, Roll20 just keeps trying to hide things. It's like, reveal, let there be light. Yeah, you can see there's another little hallway going down that way, and then you've kind of already ran down that way, so I'll go ahead and reveal the rest of the hallway there. So I know this map is like horrendous for the doors. I have like the hardest time really with that, but I would assume you're at a doorway right now, right there, and then yeah, you could see like there would have been a couple doors, probably going in over here.
Oh, what do you all think? Back?
Sure, let's go right there.
Okay. Follow it in. Take a peek in the door, and you see the chef having gone here, whipping up a cake. She seems, she's moving all around the kitchen. With a good stealth roll, you could certainly dip in there and do whatever you wanted. And yet, every once in a while she'll come over to the cake and kind of work on the frosting and, some of that and this and go back over here. And you can tell she's getting the whole preparation for the birthday party ready.
So would this be the cake that caused the kitty to get sick?
You don't really know.
So I've got proficiency in cook's utensils. I don't know if that helps with this, but what I want to do is I just want to observe like what she's adding and the proportion she's adding it in, and see if there's anything that's off about her recipe. And if there's something that's off about her recipe, if maybe I can sneak in, pull something out of my spice pouch, sneak in and add something to make it right, or if she's deliberately trying to make it wrong, if I could pick that up.
So let me see if we can do it this way, as you would be elected, if everyone is in agreement, to solo stealth into the room, perhaps discover what you may, and circumvent. And if everybody's cool with that, then you could roll me that stealth check, of course, just to make your way in there and do what you need to do.
Everybody cool with that?
What's the plan?
I'm gonna sneak in and see if I can find out if there's something going on with the cake recipe, and whether it's an accident or if it's deliberate.
Okay, but you can go by yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll all stand in the hallway.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to use my inspiration on this roll because I feel like it's an important one.
Okay, I didn't. Oh, look
Yes.
at it! All right. So yeah, you guys like hushed whispers there in the hallway. Okay, and nods of the heads, and you duck down.
That's a 42 with pass without trace. That's the highest stealth roll I've ever made.
I think that's the highest roll I've ever seen in D&D. Period.
Kind of proud of that one.
Yeah. Anyways, feel free to screenshot that one, somebody. We'll give it a. If you ever star anything, if you ever star react to the server, it puts it on the star board, and I think that may be deserving. So, but
only a double crit would have made it better.
all right, so you dip in and you make your way in, and I'll just be a little forthright. Like, there's a hell of a lot you could gain from having a conversation with her, but clearly that's not necessarily what you can do here right now. So you kind of dip in and you wait, and it seems like your spell is going to kind of give at a certain time, and you're kind of just like waiting to find this information, as she seems to be like almost like she knows and is dragging it out, like for it seems like the longest time she doesn't even look at the cake, and you're like, this freaking lady. But eventually she comes over, and she kind of like takes a little taste of the icing there, and she's like, oh, this is great. Kind of was starting to talk to herself a bit. She says, the only thing I need to do is just get the coloring of this frosting just right. Still working on it, but I'm so glad Eloise came through for me. And she pulls out this bag, and it looks to be this kind of like powder, like a yellow kind of powder. And she starts to mix it into a big bowl that's clearly like the icing, and starts to like put it into the cake. And
does the yellow powder remind me of those flowers we saw earlier?
Go ahead and make a nature check with advantage.
Oh man, nature is not my forte. Well,
16 is definitely ringing a bell. These are those fox trumpets. Seems as if Eloise had a request from her to get the coloring of the frosting just right, with this bright yellow cake she's trying to make, and she provided that for her and is like trying to apply it to the frosting. Go ahead and roll me an insight check.
Straight roll.
Yeah, just a straight roll. It's fine. It doesn't seem as if she has like a macabre intent. She doesn't, like, she is kind of just like, she seemed very keen to get it right, and so she's like, yes, I got just the thing I need, and is mixing it in, doing the thing, and then she turns her back to you and goes to the stove and is doing some other stuff, and so you could kind of do whatever you want.
All right, so I definitely gotta grab that. Don't you think, everybody?
If you feel the need, go ahead.
There.
I'm gonna. It might arouse suspicion, but I say we grab it and dash to another place, and then maybe she'll like blame it on the kids or something. So I'm gonna try to do two things. I'm gonna try to grab the foxglove powder that she has, so she can't do it again, and then I'm also gonna try to grab the frosting.
Okay, let's see a sleight of hand for that pickpocket.
Okay.
Yeah, it takes some good concentration, but you slip your hand in and take that. You almost have just like a shake of your head as you pity the foo. She is, can't say it any plainer than that. And you scoop up the cake in the other arm, and you just fucking dash, and like it's all covers blown. Go, 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 go! Everyone starts scrambling out, armor clanging, and you kind of hear like a huh, but you make it out of the whole place, and like you just go, 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 go. You don't stop running until you know you're good, and then there's even that kind of minute where you're like back here. Kip is not aware. And you're kind of like just standing there for a moment, like, like catching your breath.
So, is there anything here at the grave? Or is that just empty now?
In this timeline, that would not be there yet. So yeah, that's just
Okay.
that's the folly of
Okay.
the copy over, I guess. But yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna force another stealth roll to get past Kip here, and as she had kind of indicated earlier, if you said to work at this fountain, it would take you back to where you needed to go, essentially.
Well, did we do everything we need to do, or do you feel like we need to do more?
I guess that's truly up to you guys, but at this point, you got the cake, you got the powder, even, which is at least some good proof. And I mean, yeah, it seemed like the cake was whole, and she pulled that bag out like it was pretty fresh and stuff. So you feel like you've done what you were sent here to do.
What do y'all think?
Accomplished everything. Let's go.
Yes, get back.
So I guess
I know there's just so much unexplored map. But yeah, let's go.
Okay, a little peek behind too is that essentially the danger here is their passive perception is like 15, and so that's pretty high, especially if you're working with a disadvantage on stealth and stuff. So of course there's always other options than stealth, whatever the party could come up with in a sense, But in this case, you did have the stealth card, so I mean, you can't knock it if it works or whatever, but. Yeah, so I know it's like it seems pretty simple, but essentially you guys, I mean, you did the stealth rolls, so yeah, yeah, you could have explored this a little more in the other timeline, but you guys had chosen to go down first, which kind of just forces the events going across. And I mean, if y'all are curious later and we don't get to it, I can like give you a quick run through of what's in and around and shit. And I would never let anyone miss out on like treasure if they didn't have a choice. You know what I mean? So you're not missing anything as far as that goes. I can guarantee you that. But there would have been certain clues that you would have already like picked up on from like May earlier if you had like kind of had a conversation with her and stuff. But I mean, this game's all about your choice, so it's not like it's a bad thing. And so you guys are freaking efficient, if anything. So with that, you return to the fountain there, sorry, and you say to work. Anybody want to give it the honor?
Yeah, I like to say to work. Go on.
That's it. I would assume punctuated by a little roar from Tijuana as he joins in, not to be left out.
He certainly enjoyed frolicking in the fountain, so.
All right. So I think this will kind of push us to a wrap up in a sense. So let me double check in case I missed anything here. Okay, so you guys kind of step into the fountain, all shout in unison, "To work!" As Kip kind of turns up and he's like, "I'm doing the best I can." What? And you kind of feel that stomach flop as you zoom, and this time it's just a little different too, where not only are you going through space, but also like time, and you just almost feel like a spin to things, and it's a little hard to keep your all that water you were drinking earlier down. Damn, so much water. It was a trap. Now you know. But you're able to kind of keep it down, and you suddenly appear back in this camp. Oh no, I'm so sorry. My bad. Not in a camp. But you exit the fountain, and the land is like spinning, 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 and then suddenly it stops, and make sure I don't miss that part. Hold on. There's like a very important piece here that I'm like, wait. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of read through this as I go and make sure I don't miss anything. But and this kind of happened to me last time too, where I felt like there's just like something left out here, and this thing was kind of riddled with errors, if I'm gonna be honest. But anyways, sorry about that. But I just want to make sure you guys get everything, and so I'll explain more of that in a second, I suppose. But you exit the fountain, and the land seems to be spinning all around you, and then suddenly it kind of stops, and you realize that you're just standing in this little empty clearing in the Hulak forest, nothing around you, and the sun's kind of slowly rising over the trees. Last you saw, the world was disappearing there, and now finally, after this long treacherous night, the sun kind of blossoms over the top of the horizon there, kind of sheds that final morning warmth and needed light to the trees around you. As the sun does slowly rise, you suddenly hear the crunch and look to turn your gaze down the road and see a set of wagons coming up with a young boy running ahead. You recognize them instantly, of course, as the Nightcast troop. You spent all night with them. And from the first wagon, though, you see someone shout, "Hey, Ephraim, careful! There may be trolls!" And the wagons kind of grind to a halt as they spot you, and a woman in a blue dress climbs from a wagon and approaches the party and introduces herself. She says, "Oh, hell, travelers. Didn't expect to see anyone in these parts. The name's Lyria Nightcast, and we're just a group of entertainers on our way to Cormyr. We're going to be putting on a series of plays there. This actually looks like a pretty fine place to set up camp. We've been traveling all night. Well, what are you guys up to?" And
no. I strongly suggest you go down at least another hour away from this place. It's a trap. It looks nice, but it's not.
Oh, you must be joking. Yeah, I know there's rumors of dangers around here, but it can't be too bad. Now, please, I don't think I've seen you. What are your names?
Trey steps forward and says, "My name's Trey, ma'am, and I can tell you that this man is not joking. If he says you need to move along, you need to move along. It's really the best for everyone."
She says, Trey, that's kind of a funny thing. And, well, speaking of this man, who are you? You got a funny little companion there with you, too. And we don't mean anyone harm, you know.
Really? I'm funny?
I meant his little Drake there, not you, sir.
Well, what he's saying is true. You do need to keep moving, and I'm not kidding. You need to keep moving on down the road, away from here.
She kind of like approaches the group as her like her group kind of like corrals up, and everyone kind of starts to peek like curious heads out and such. And the little boy runs up, and she kind of puts like a casual arm, and she says, "Oh, hold on now, Ephraim. We're having a talk. I'm just getting to know these strangers. What was your name there? I'm sorry. You keep talking to these dangers, but I don't even know who y'all are."
My name is Milo Green Tea.
Green Tea?
You remember me?
No, I don't. I mean, I do recognize your name. It's the funniest thing, but I'm sorry, sir, but I don't think I've ever seen you before.
Well, irregardless, you need to keep moving, ma'am. Okay? For your own safety.
Well,
and the boy, you need to keep moving.
Perhaps we could all get to know each other. We're on the way to Cormyr. We would mind some bodyguards, especially if it's as tough around here as you say. We wouldn't mind hiring you on for the next day or two of travel there. So, as I said, I'm Lyria.
As long as
Milo. Good to know you.
As long as you don't stay around here, as long as you keep moving right now.
She kind of like turns and she says she's trying to extend her hand out to you, Elaith, and She says, Lyria, nice to meet you.
Yeah, like I said, I'm Malay. This is Tijuana. We'll be happy to serve as bodyguards and make sure you guys make it to Cormier safely. But we need to camp a few more miles down the road. This place isn't the right place for any of us.
She says, oh, well, I might have to take you up on that. But we may just have to stop for a quick drink or so. It's been a long travel. Y'all could join us for that, and you look like you could use an ale.
Listen, you can drink and ride on the wagon. Let's go. We need to keep going.
She kind of looks towards Thornir, and she's like, I have this funny feeling right now. I'm sorry. I know you're probably just wondering what's wrong with me. Why is she so keen? But ever since you said Trey, I have to know the rest of your names. I'm sorry, but... And she kind of drops all pretense. She's like, look, I'll heed your warning, but there's something that I have to do. I have to know this. And she looks to you, Thornir, is the last one she doesn't know. You might just confirm this for me. Could you please, sir, tell me your name?
My name is Thornir Frostforge.
And like she almost erupts in body language and in excitement. Hold, Ephraim, stay with them. I'll be back. And this boy who only seems but hours ago was in the dirt and not far from where your feet are now, kind of just sitting there rocking on his heels, whistling. Looks a little like nervous, but most certainly privileged to be like here, and he's like and then after a moment, Lyria returns and she has a small bundle and she says, my great grandfather was once invited to play at a fairy queen's court, and as payment he was gifted these bottles of fairy wine. They are said to taste of honey, and as you can see, they are the color of the spring sun. Even after all these years, they stay as pristine as ever and never collect dust. Now look here. The fairy queen asked my great distant relative for a favor to retain this set of bottles in my family until we one day come upon those named on the labels here. And she shows you, and sure enough, each one of your names is on a label of these bottles. And she says, in return, all those long years ago, this fairy queen provided my distant relative's troop with wagons and supplies to make it through. I suspect this wine is quite valuable by now, and there's even this. And she pulls out this silver horn, and she says, I've never really been able to figure out what this even would do, but it came packaged with the bottles, and I hope I can keep my family in good faith with the spirits of the wild by finally passing this on to you. Oh, what great fortune we have met. And she passes these objects on to you guys, and she's more than more than willing to take you up on your warning to camp elsewhere. But you feel around you that with this like culmination that the danger has passed, and that you've totally circumvented time from happening. In this new timeline you've created, nothing that was tragic here happened or will happen, and Rogerna is safe in her domain, happy. She got to leave on the stream of time and go make things right with the Sealy Court as she intended to do, and return back to her domain peacefully, as it were. It's true that through the manipulation of time with Eloise, anything's truly possible, and so you somehow over like crazy amount of time these bottles have made their way to you. They'll actually add up to be like your cash reward for the game today, which is a whopping 5G or K, I guess you should say. So that'd be more than 1,000 each at this point with only 4 players. So quite a bit of gold. And since this is the end, you do get the horn. It is a silver horn of Valhalla. And I do have a little handout for that if you haven't seen it in a while or are curious what it does specifically. And there it is. So it's rare. An action to blow it, and you'll get some warrior spirits, statistics of a berserker. If you click that link, it'll take you to the D&D Beyond one, I think, and then they return after an hour or when they die. But I mean, I'm sure that would be a freaking pain for DMs, but honestly, it's a cool item. I can only imagine you're like playing this and give this away to like your regular group of players at a table, and then next week every player shows up with the horn and they're like, I want to blow my horn, and the next one, I want to blow my horn, and I want to blow my horn. Ah, god dang it, there's 20 berserkers.
Yeah.
But let me see. So if you're interested, I can kind of go over some like details that we just some little things that I thought were interesting in the module that just by chance we didn't really kind of hit upon. If anybody wants to.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind hearing a little bit more. I really liked the richness of the story and the characters.
Well, cool. And yeah, this one definitely grew on me. As I said, there were some weird things because, like, if you do one thing, like someone gives you that horn, but if you do something else, like you don't get that horn. But that's not really right because you guys in fact did like the ultimate conclusion, so it's like, why wouldn't you get the horn? That's stupid. So I don't know what was up with that. I was like whatever, but so you get the horn in the end. But
I appreciate it. I had an adventure once where the DM says because we didn't go to a certain area, we didn't get but the way he ran the adventure, we wouldn't have gone that way. So
yeah, so I'm very objective about that as well. So like if I felt like if it's deserved, then I'm more than willing to give it, and I usually lean on that side. But you know, if there was like a choice thing where someone just didn't go to like an area intentionally or something like that, then I would, you know, they just would never know it was there essentially. And as a DM, you just don't mention it. You know, you just try to keep that under wraps because they're not going to be happy to hear that. Just like it, you're like, oops. But honestly, for me, it's about time spent, and you know, we're sharing this time together. It can be up to 4 to 5 hours, and I feel like that's always worth a reward. So I don't think I've ever kept anything from anyone, honestly, because that's just kind of shitty.
Thanks, Kelly. And
Thanks for the game. I've got to run, everybody.
yeah, see you next Friday.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, y'all.
thanks again.
All right. Have a good Friday, everyone. Thanks for letting me play.
Heck yeah, I'm glad to have you on. So real quick, I'd say like the funny thing that'd be worth mentioning here that's kind of cool is that clearly, you know, there was like some more NPCs to talk to in there and stuff, but the neat thing about it is if you explored that House of Relics, it like basically you'd more or less find out that Eloise had manipulated time to like collect these artifacts from different periods and places in history. And I'm trying to pull it up because the Beholder mask is like, it's like, is it Xanathar? Xanathar's supposed to be alive or whatever. Well, you know, she might have manipulated time to go way the heck into the future and like took his death mask or whatever, and then like pulled it back to her time, and here it is, you know. And then the other item was like an item of Ares, which is a god, of course. And then there actually was a copy of the horn in one of the pedestals, but all of the items there were like incredibly cursed, and so this adventure had a lot of ways to like put exhaustion on you guys, which again we didn't end up using the little charms you got, but you could have needed them, but you guys really didn't come across that in any way. But there were, if you would have touched one of the items, it would have like instantly given you like two levels of exhaustion and shit. But there was a Horn of Valhalla there you could have like looked at too. And the last thing it says is an ice, like a block of ice containing a branch with red berries, and it's labeled as Oral's Bane. So I thought that was kind of cool too, like a nod towards the Icewind Dale stuff.
Yeah,
Well, that's cool.
That's cool.
How much gold did we get again?
All right.
Sorry, I didn't.
No, for sure. Well, I'll definitely do a session log, and yeah, it looks like Reese
Okay.
got it there, 1250 each. Is just all together, yeah. In conclusion, so just from DM to you guys, you know, it means a lot for me to like start and finish something, and yeah, I know life kind of presents challenges with that, of course, but I set my heart on doing this trilogy, and then here we are. We completed the third one. A couple of y'all were in it from the beginning to the end, and then of course the ones that fill in only enrich it more by helping us keep it going and stuff. So just from my perspective, I'm like really grateful for y'all to come on this little mini adventure with me.
Oh, I appreciate you running. Milo will now go to tier 3.
Oh,
Nice. So I'm running like a little tier 1 game next Friday just to kind of fill in a little time, and then I'm gonna take like a week off, and then I'm gonna come back that next week on Monday mornings. So I'm gonna kind of switch it up a bit. But going forward, I think there's like a few tier 2s in season 8 I'm gonna run, and then it like immediately goes to tier 3, and so I'm gonna be running some pretty higher level games in the future myself. And I know a lot of the other guys, DM wise, have been running like tier 3 games a lot on our server lately, so I'm proud of that. So if that's what you want.
Monday mornings I can't do, so.
Yeah, I can't either, unfortunately. But maybe I'll be able to play with you again sometime if you run some in a different time. But I really had fun with this adventure.
Yeah, I'm gonna be in between jobs because I work for like a little like food subscription service thing, and I guess they kind of were making some different choices at corporate or whatever, and they're like shutting down the facility and like laying off everybody basically.
Oh,
so yeah, my schedule.
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, one door closes and so on. So it's okay. But working in 35-degree weather all the time kind of sucks. but but in the end, my schedule's gonna be kind of. Who knows? Give it a month or two, and I might be running like at a completely different time. So, of course, just keep an eye out on the server, and you'll see.
Yeah. All right.
Full next week.
Is my game full next week? Shoot, I think that one did fill up. But who knows? And people drop and stuff, so I would definitely recommend waitlisting.
Yeah. They're always on War. You list them all on Warhorn, right?
Yeah, and we post them here lately as I'm going through the schedule. I post them first to the 1d6 club, like the Patreon thing, and I give that about a day.
Okay.
And then I post it to like Warhorn, where it'll send a notification to the whole server. So then it's like fair game for everybody, basically. But there's like that 24-hour pre-sign up period that before I'll do it. But I'll probably end up posting the next game like here in the next hour or two as I kind of wind down from this. So keep an eye out for that. I think if you want a little sneak peek, I could give one. The next game I'm going to post is on Sunday the 12th. It starts at 8 p.m. and it's going to be a tier 4 game. Should be pretty cool. Ran by kind of a newer DM, but seems to be doing well. Like newer with us. I'm not sure his like prior history or anything, but seems to be doing well with what he's ran. And of course, tier 4 games are more than welcome. And then that's going to be posted to Warhorn today, so that'll be hitting the server. And then on the 1d6 club, I'm going to post a game for the 16th, which is, let me see. The 16th is Thursday the 16th, and that's going to be DM Baywin, who's been running games with us for a while. He's a pretty cool guy. And I think he's running a tier 3 Moonshay Isles game, so you just have to check the listing on that one, but it should be pretty awesome as well.
Every Monday online. I've been gaming with him for about the last 12, 13 years.
Really? Oh man, hell yeah. Well, I'm glad to give him a nice shout out while you're here. So, but just real quick, if y'all were curious too, the full, I know I didn't quite give it out, but we got the optional level, the 10 downtime, the 6 +1 arrows. Everybody got those. Everybody got Potion of Greater Healing, a Potion of Advantage. Everybody got the Cloak of Billowing. Everybody got the Silver Horn of Valhalla. And I also was streaming. Looks like we're going to be wrapping up here just a little after 12, so I'll just say 12. So, well, no, we can get that extra time. Why not? We'll say 4 hours. So 4 service hours. Everybody gets that, and then the 1250 gold.
Yeah, great.
All right, thanks, y'all.
All right, thank you very much. Enjoy the Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.
You too. See ya.